Because every time
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Easy. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Scottish Football Zone. I am one half of the team for this evening. Robbie Collins joining me as my good friend, my co-host of the Bullseye Banter podcast. It is Mr. Reegan Stevenson. Reegan, how you doing?
Robbie, great to see you again, Robbie. I feel like I'm seeing you more than my family these days. Good to see you, mate. I'm really enjoying talking with you and all the big weekend of Scottish football. I wouldn't say Celtic were great. I wouldn't say Rangers were great. I wouldn't. I went and watched the Arbroath St Johnstone game of the weekend. That was a close game, Robbie, and there's a lot of good games to talk about.
There certainly is, Reagan. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Thank you for the comments already rolling in before we've even hit the live button. Azolino says, afternoon, folks, afternoon, mate. Thank you for tuning in. And Saints Ultra 1877 says, Moon the Saints. Aye, we'll get into talking about that a wee bit later on because I think there's a lot to discuss for that game in Paisley. But Reagan, you mentioned how big a weekend it was in Scottish football. Mere twists and turns, you can tell by the titles. Hearts, if the next team to slip up in the title race, drawn to each away at Livingston, we'll get into that. But Celtic and Rangers getting 2 wins, putting the pressure on Hearts. It's getting really, really tight up the top end of the table now.
It is, Robbie, and I've got my theory on it. I think Celtic are now in pole place to win it for me.
Oh, the predictions, they keep getting hotter and hotter. See, I'm going the other side of Glasgow, me. I think Rangers have maybe get themselves a good wee chance of going and win this thing.
Well, Robbie, I was with you. I said like a few months ago, Rangers for the title, but looking at the post-split fixtures, Celtic look as if they're ready to go. Celtic have got Rangers, Hearts, and Falkirk at home. And I'm thinking Rangers have got to go to Tynecastle, they've got to go to Celtic Park, and they've got to play at home to Motherwell. So for me, that just looks a little bit too tricky for me. I think if Celtic can get the Green Brigade back in, they can get the fans behind them, then I think Celtic for me now take pole place for the title.
Aye, well, look, Celtic still need to play Craig McLeish's Tiki Taka Black and White Army next week, so don't get your hopes up just yet. But no, I agree with you. I think Celtic are looking pretty good with a fixture list for this title running. But as we'll get into, Reagan, and I suppose we probably should start at Dens Park. It feels fitting, as that was the last game on the Sunday. It was Dundee 1, Celtic 2. Yang opened up the scoring 8 minutes in the game. It did good in his Yang's goal. I know there was a bit of confusion how it was going to go to, but it did good in his Yang's. Then Simon Murray equalised with a penalty in the 57th minute. Ian Acho then scored. Brendan Rodgers' phone book coming in clutch for Celtic in the 82nd minute, and it got for bad to worse for Dundee as Ryan Astley gets sent off in the 84th minute. Reagan, we'll go to the first half first. What an absolute domination that was for Celtic. Probably one of the best 45 minutes we've seen in a while for Celtic, and they probably should have been more than 1 up.
I mean, how Chavan Chara's not scored the other 2 chances is beyond me, Robbie. I mean, the first one where he takes it around the goalie and then he decides to chip it. He's got to score that. He's got to score that goal. But fair play to Dundee. I thought they really came out of the game. I like the wee. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy on wide for Dundee.
There was Congreve and Tony Ugani. Ugani's quite a good
Ugani,
player.
yes.
Yeah.
He was brilliant, Robbie. I thought he was really good. And there was one point in the first half where he did a little trick. You remember that? When he did a little. I'm not able to do it for you, Robbie, but he done a little trick and I was like, oh my god, here this looks brilliant. Fair play to the guy. But I thought Dundee actually played pretty well. Obviously Celtic played really well first half, but I thought Dundee certainly deserved a draw because second half Celtic just kind of dropped off. But I think Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton said that in the second half that because Dundee were that bad in the first half, you sort of expected it. You expected a reaction. But
Aye,
I think from Celtic's point of view, I think the big changing point was when obviously they took the white boy off, and then they brought on Big Hay, because obviously, as I said earlier, Robbie, I think he was causing so many problems for obviously Tony Ralston, and then obviously Donovan as well. So I think that was a sort of a a big moment in the game. I also don't know why as well. As soon as Stephen Presley made it 1-1, he took off Simon Murray. But that was a little bit strange, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's a little bit of a feud there, but I just find it strange that when your top goal scorer, your main man for Dundee, a Dundee fan, he's going to score the goal. He scores the goal against Celtic, and then 5 minutes later he gets took off. I just didn't get it for me.
Simon Murray, who claimed man of the match as well, according to
But did
majority of fans. Celtic's man of the match went to Sinisalo in goals, so I actually didn't think done much in the game, in my
no,
personal opinion, to be honest. But
probably the man of the match should be the referee. See the amount of times he blew that whistle, and the amount of times you were actually seeing a foul for Dundee, and you think that's a foul, and he didn't get it, and then he would, and then with, what I don't know if you've seen it, Robbie, but there was a foul in the first half that was committed, and Scales got injured, and he decided to play on, and I'm thinking you can clearly see that's a foul on Scales, and you're playing on.
I remember the commentary team actually picking up on that as well. But I think you're right. Look, Dundee shouldn't have had a chance in this match based on the way the first half went. Chavin Chara for me isn't a Celtic player. He's no good enough to be a Celtic starting number 9 in my opinion. He's far too incapable in front of goal in one-on-one
I think if
situations.
you were to see Chaman Charan late, Robbie, I don't think the guy would finish his dinner. I think he's one of these guys that probably has half his dinner, then goes, "No, I'm not hungry anymore." I just don't know if he can actually finish his dinner. I know I said that at the start of the show that I felt like Celtic were the favourites for me, but I think that just showed you, Robbie, when Celtic's got a main striker on the park like Iheanacho, he picks up that plays in the park, and he took it like a proper striker.
He did, and I actually thought Kelechi's overall movement in the game was quite nice. I think he always tried to drop deep and link up play, and I thought it was really impressive. And to be honest, before the match, you could probably sum up Ian Atchell's whole time by saying he's been unimpressive when he's been playing with Celtic so far, but he showed up, and I just think the difference now for Celtic needs to be that attacking threat. They need to have somebody up there that can score goals, like an Iheanacho, for example. Iheanacho probably will start next week against St Mirren, I'd imagine, because I don't think you can risk starting Chevin Chara again. I think he's too prone to missing big chances, and that's something that Celtic can't afford at this point in the season. So, I thought it was big for Iheanacho to come on and get that goal. But you've got to say fair play to Dundee, because I thought Reagan in the second half, they've really built their way back into it. As you mentioned, I don't think they should have took off Simon Murray, to be honest with you, but I don't think any of the subs really made that big a difference. I always like looking at wee Charlie Riley, although he barely even played any minutes when he came on. That's a young, exciting player. You've got Scott Wright that came onto the pitch as well. They'll probably feel a wee
I've
bit.
got a, I've got a different name for Scott Wright, but I'm not mentioning it on the show because Michael will sack me for the show. But um, I just think that in general, Robbie, I think Dundee have played pretty well this year. You've got to give them credit, and I thought they played really well yesterday. See, as much like I think there was one time in the first half where Danda passed the ball straight to McGregor, and McGregor was through and goal. I think that was the only time where you probably would say they played now didn't know what too well. But I think overall, if you're a Dundee fan and you're watching that game yesterday, you're probably thinking we actually gave Celtic a really good scare there, and that's what you want. You want these clubs to actually think, right? We can actually test these teams. I mean, you don't. I remember when Brendan Rodgers was here for Celtic in 2018, and Celtic were rocking up to Dundee and winning 6-0. And you don't want that, Robbie. You want these teams to be having a chance of winning. I know Martin O'Neill's was nearly having a heart attack side of the pitch because as much as I'm enjoying Martin O'Neill being back in the Celtic dugout, Robbie, I think another question I've got for you, Robbie, is I think if Martin O'Neill wins this title and he wins the Scottish Cup, then I think he'll just bow out there because I think he's been a very good manager, but I think he's getting too old now.
I think he's probably going to move on no matter what happens the rest of the season. I don't think Martin O'Neill particularly wants to stay on the Celtic managerial job, but whether that means he transitions into a back role at Celtic and maybe stays connected with the club in some sort of director role or football operations role, who knows? But I definitely agree with you. I think this, in terms of management, will be Martin O'Neill's last season. And what a job he's done to turn the Celtic team around. I mean, under Wilfred
Aye,
Nancy, Reagan, you'll know they were unable to pick up any sort of point, never mind a win. So they
Z-Ball is Z-Ball.
so to then take that team again after already taking it and being able to turn it around to a point where all right, they've dropped a few points. That happens to every team this season. No team's unbeatable. But keep getting these late goals, keep getting the late winners to keep Celtic's title hopes alive. It's probably giving him a bit of an energy boost as well.
Aye, and I think if you said to Martin O'Neill a few weeks ago that if you'd been in me a chance, he'd possibly go on top next week if you beat St Mirren, and then obviously Rangers are away to Falkirk, and obviously Hearts have got a difficult match against Motherwell. I think if you said that to Martin O'Neill, he'd probably bit your hand off because the actual mess that Wilfred Nancy left him in. If Wilfred Nancy was still here, I think Celtic would be on a different planet.
Aye, Robert McInnes's afternoon, Reagan. You've got a fan
Hey, how you
in
doing,
the
Robert?
chat, Reagan.
Nice,
Uh,
nice to see you, mate.
and Graham also comments last 30. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we're getting joined by the man himself or what it means. But no, Reagan, it did end. Obviously, Simon Murray's penalty back in there. I'm guessing you agree that it was a Stonewall penalty for the handball.
Yeah, it was a Stonewall penalty. There's no disputing there. I think in terms of that, I think Donovan is a big upgrade on Ralston. I don't know if you agree with it, Robbie, but that's why for me, I don't see the sense in taking Ralston to a World Cup because if Ralston's going to be sitting on the bench and two right backs are going to be ahead, then what's the sense in taking Ralston to a World Cup? I know people can say to me, "Oh well, he's he's reliable, he's steady," but is he actually going to play any football for the rest of the season? Because Johnson's coming back, Arojo's coming back, and then you've got obviously Donovan who's ahead of him.
Aye, I actually, funnily enough, I actually messaged my boss during the game and I was talking to him about Ralston. I was like, I cannot believe Tony Ralston's still getting in the Celtic or Scotland team in 2026. He is not a Celtic player, nor is he a Scotland player. And it will really tell come the World Cup what we're sort of dealing with Scotland because I don't really have faith in this guy being able to go into the starting 11 and do much, to be honest with you. But um, aye, it was like Celtic getting into next season really they need to build on their depth because there's players in there that probably shouldn't be in the Celtic team anymore. But Robert, look, if you ever want to join me, we're more than welcome to have people on the show. Just feel free to reach out to one of us and we'll be sure to make that happen. Graham will get into talking about Hearts soon. I just want to finish up on Celtic. Reagan, yeah, obviously hosting us next week at Celtic Park, in which I'm sure will be classified as the Reagan Ethan Robbie Derby or something like that by Michael next week when he's back on the show. How important is it Celtic build on that and try and get the home one? Of course, Celtic are always favourites when it comes to home games, but let's be fair. If I try to big up my team and give myself some credit, you're facing a pretty on-form St Mirren team right now.
I think it'll be a difficult match. I said to you on Saturday night, Robbie, I'm really impressed with Craig McLeish. I think he speaks really well. He sort of talks about Jimmy Langfield being a big part of his project, and obviously the players like Gogic really buying into it. I don't know if you've seen his press conference, but he actually talks about telling the players about freedom and stuff like that. And I think that's something that the players will probably enjoy. And he actually talks about like players like Gogic and Phillips is like a big reason why he got the job because the actual big players in the squad are actually fully behind him. And I think one of the key parts as well is that he's brought a really good assistant manager in. I remember Parson when he was actually the assistant manager at Dundee and also at Partick Thistle as well. So he's obviously a good manager. I know that Tony Docherty is doing some BBC duty at the minute. He's no a manager, but he was a great assistant for him, and he was a great assistant for Alan Archibald at Partick Thistle as well. So I think there's somebody there that can really bond with the players, and I think Craig's actually done really well. I think St Mirren will actually um, play play into Celtic's hands in terms of I think they'll set up well and they'll try and break on Celtic, but it's up to Celtic to try and break them down. And obviously, St Mirren's got obviously players at the top end of the pitch that can cause Celtic problems, Robbie.
Aye, 100%. Of course, we'll deep dive into St Mirren later when we talk about the St Mirren Aberdeen game. But as Graham's commenting, let's go to the home of the City Fair Arena, where it was Livingston 2, Hearts 2, Hearts the next team, and this weird and wacky title race to drop points. It was, Reagan, a very, very good opening 20 minutes for Livingston, you must admit. They played some absolutely phenomenal stuff at times. Stevie May, of course, getting the opening goal in 5 minutes.
Aye, Robbie, I did text you yesterday, and Owen was saying he didn't want Hearts to win, but I was actually saying I wanted Hearts to win because I think it'd be great for the league that in fact that if Hearts can win this title. But I mean I don't know if you agree, Robbie, now, but I just think Hearts are now on the back foot. I know they're 1 point ahead, but I think if they had a serious chance of winning, they probably had to win that game yesterday. For me, I think psychologically for the players as well, the fact that they've been so far ahead and to go to the bottom team who's not won a game since September, who's won one game, you'd think that was like in a banker for Hearts, to be honest with you.
Aye, Livingston has sort of say the interesting start, and we can talk about it soon. But Livingston obviously 3 games after equaling the record of Arbroath's worst season in the Premiership of 31 games without a win. Livingston are only on I think 28 now, so they're no long after beating that record. But as Graham said, they didn't need to win it yesterday. I predicted they would draw, by the way, on my TikTok. So
Did you?
I said one each in the game. I couldn't see Hearts winning, to be honest with you. I also said Celtic to draw, but so aye.
So did
No,
Robbie.
I said
said one
actually
each.
I said Dundee to win 2-1. Actually,
Did you?
I had Rangers to win, Hearts to draw, and Celtic to lose.
Don't know if
But
you watched the show. Don't know if you watched the show on Friday, Robbie, but I think your man Ethan was quite he was laughing at me when I said it was going to be one each. And then yesterday I was thinking about texting him during the game and saying, "See, Celtic are poor. It's going to be one each here." But thank God I didn't, because he'd be laughing because he said 1-0 to Celtic.
it was always going to be a tight game. But as Graham said, the last 30 was so poor. There, of course, be a lot of frustration for Hearts fans after that. But he is right, Reagan. Hearts are new to this yet. You know, as much as we can say on the show, you know, Hearts, maybe the momentum's shifted away. Maybe they're not going to be able to hand it. Maybe they will drop points. But right now, as things stand, they are really still in this title race, Reagan.
I think they are, Robbie, but I think like Graham says there, if you look at the last few fixtures, sorry to bring it up to you, Robbie, but no beating St Mirren away from home, no beating obviously Neil McCann and Rugby Park, no
As he
winning
says.
there. That's
Aye.
got to be the one where you look back and go, Celtic beating Kilmarnock for 2-0 behind. That's probably the key one for me, Robbie. The fact that Celtic were in there 2-0 behind, 20 minutes to go, and you're thinking that's it done, Celtic away. And the fact that they scored through to 90 with 25 minutes to go, then it started to go forward. I think we'll look back on that moment and go, that could have been the moment for me, Robbie.
Aye, 100%. Graham comments there, not being Levis at Murnakelly away is really poor when you're going for the title. As Celtic rock out of the Smizer and Callum McGregor puts one top right in the 97th minute or 96th to win the game. Like, that is things though that
I don't think
that
you've
teams
still
do.
got. I don't think you've still got over that game, Robbie, have you?
I'll never get out of that game, to be honest with you. That was an absolute gut punch. But that is what teams do. Teams come to tough places like Rugby Park, like the Smizer, like Livingston, and they find ways to win. Russell Martin picked up a win away at Livingston, let's not forget, before
Or
he
2
lost
1
his
victory,
job at
aye.
Rangers. Yeah, he picked up a win. Did Wilfred Nancy no win 4-2 away at
He did us
Livingston as
there,
well?
Robbie. Was that game?
Aye, so teams need to do that if you're in a title race. As Ryan says, I do love talking about the Paisley Pep, but we'll go into him soon.
The Paisley
But
Pep, was that Stephen
K-
Robinson?
no, it's not
Stephen
Stephen.
Robinson, yeah.
Definitely no him, mate. That's Stephen Robinson after this weekend's game, mate. That's what he was doing at his weekend. But no, Graham's right. You do need to be picking up these wins when it does go 2-1. You need to go and kill the game off. And I thought the momentum was in Hearts' favour, Reagan. When they were 2-1 up, I thought they were going to go and kill the game. But Livingston springed a counter attack out absolutely nowhere, and Smith managed to score to make it 2 each.
Aye, to be honest with you, Robbie, when it was 2-1 to Hearts, I thought that's the game over. I thought Hearts were assuring to win the match. I just don't know if, sorry to say it, Graham, but I don't know if Derek himself is maybe feeling the pressure a little bit. Because
I said this weeks ago on the show.
Because he was talking yesterday about it's a great week of training, the players are not feeling it. But he's actually saying it's a great week of training, the players are not feeling it. I mean, I think genuinely, I think maybe he's sort of bringing it up on himself, and then the week before he's saying about if Celtic don't win the league, then Celtic fans want Hearts to win. If Rangers fans don't want, then it's. I know it's basically the media trying to bait and sell papers and stuff like that, Robbie. But I think if you're Derek McInnes, for me personally, I think he should just be kind of going one match at a time. Don't want to speak about it.
Aye, I mean, Graham comments are there. McInnes had a lot of credit and rightly so, but the subs were far too late to change the game. There's players in there like Mato, who I know Graham spoke about in his TikTok, that didn't even go into the park. If you're Derek McInnes, you've got to be flinging these guys on, Reagan, to try and get a wee bit of a difference in the game.
I think you're spot on. And see, the thing for me, right? I know this sounds terrible, right? But I think for me, I was watching the game yesterday and I'm thinking, secretly, I want Hearts to win to try and make it go as much as possible because I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, see if your Hearts, you're never going to get a better chance. I know people keep saying it, well, Rangers and that are going to, obviously Hearts are going to spend money, but I think Rangers are going to be a top team next year. I think obviously the Americans are going to spend money, and I think Celtic can't get any worse. So I think this is your prime time for Hearts to get in there.
Aye, I mean, look, Hearts want to go away next season. We know that we know they're
No, I
going to
don't think
spend
they'll
a
go
double
away.
him.
I don't think they'll go away, but I just think with the sort of Celtic and Rangers fans are not really too happy with their boards. They're not too happy with their players. So I think this is a kind of perfect storm for Hearts at the minute, Robbie.
It is, and I think you're right. Rangers and Celtic will only improve getting into next season, and I think it'll be an even tougher battle. Ryan commented saying Hearts only win 1-0 at home, can't win away. Rangers win at home, poor away. Celtic are just mental. Anyone's for the taking, to be honest. Motherwell drop them off can make it a shout between the three teams. It does. There's 3 points in it between the three teams now. Getting into the last 7-8 games, I think. It really is.
Sorry, Robbie, I don't know if Graham's still there, but I did see a thing today that potentially we could see Hearts and Rangers the last day of the season. Do you think the SFA would allow it, Graham? Because I think it would be incredible scenes.
No, I'm still sticking by my old firm in Edinburgh Derby last day of the season, mate. That's what every neutral's had in the horses. I don't even know it's never going to happen. But Ryan's right. The concerning thing for Hearts and Celtic fans is Rangers aren't great. They're no near the finished article, Reagan, but he's right. They're no losing. They're picking up wins. Dundee United just went and schooled Celtic 2 weeks ago before the international break. Rangers almost schooled them. I mean, I thought Dundee United were good at Ibrox as we're going to, but Rangers scored the 4 goals and got the win against them at a time when they needed it.
They sure did. I mean, Rangers are not looking too impressive, Robbie, but what you can say about Danny Rowe is that Russell Martin's he's picking up the 3 points. I mean, there's points in that game where Dundee United could really make it free. Like, I didn't see the game, Robbie, but there was Rangers fans texting me saying this could be free here, and I'm thinking, well, things must be happening at Ibrox.
Aye, it was. It was a tight game. Graham says Shankland has a huge chance at 2-1 to kill the game, but doesn't take it. That's the thing. United take the chances. I don't want to keep going back to the only example, Reagan, I can think is that game in Paisley with Callum McGregor. Like, such a crucial strike. Shankland obviously has the sort of half volley that he puts just there the bar. Now I thought that one was drifting straight for the top corner, but he then goes on to say, really interesting how the fixtures will look after the split, and then he says, I hope not. Got my sanity.
See, the thing is as well, Robbie, right? Is it's a fine line, right? Where actually like all three teams could become a failure, like right now. But all three teams could be absolutely. It could be the best season ever because if you're Rangers 13 points behind in Christmas time, then to recover it under Danny Rowe, and then you've got Celtic who are an absolute mess, and then you've got the fairy tale of Hearts splitting up Celtic and Rangers for the first time in many years. So I think the big thing, like Scottish football is the best league in Europe at the minute.
Aye, I'd roll with that, to be honest. I think Scottish football is get the best leagues in the world, to be honest with you, but I'm biased, so of course I'm going to say that. But it's such a interesting title race, and I suppose, Regan, we should probably touch on just Livingston quickly before we move on. Actually, Marvin Bartley, although it is still a bad season, and I mentioned that record earlier, they're close to equalising Arbroath's losing consecutive run without a win streak. They're 3 half it or 2 now. Marvin Bartley's distilled a wee bit of confidence in that Livingston team. They at least showed a bit of character and a bit of fight.
Aye, Robbie, I tell you what, right? He's actually made them. He's actually made them enjoyable to watch.
Aye.
Do you know? And there was times yesterday and times when they played Rangers where you go, see if you'd have got installed a little bit earlier, it might actually been all right.
When is the last time you would have said you had a bit of confidence and you enjoyed watching a Livingston team? Because I couldn't actually tell you, to be honest. I don't even think they were that enjoyable to watch in the Championship, to be honest. They just got the job done most games. Marvin Bartley's actually put a bit into them. I mean, that opening 10 minutes, especially, Reagan, they were amazing to watch.
But I would like to hear what people have got to say because surely he's not saying too much different for David Martindale when he was the assistant manager. But maybe since he's took the sort of number one role, he's kind of put his own stamp in the team, but maybe made them a little bit more sure. But surely
He's done a
that's
Craig
something.
McLeish, hasn't he, really? He's done a Craig McLeish. He's told them, go out there and play with freedom. David Martindale was a very stubborn manager that liked to set his teams up defensive first and attacking second. Whereas Marvin Bartley's just told them, look, go for it. Go and show what you've got.
And I don't want to give any media organisations any credit, Robbie, but I did watch the press conference from a certain organisation, and it was Marvin Bartley's press conference, and he was talking yesterday. And see the way he was talking about, oh, there's 7,000 Hearts fans here. We don't want to basically, it was basically they basically don't want to make it into a party for Hearts. They want to go in there and show that they're still able to do really well. I think that's the kind of positive spin on it. You know what I mean? Like he's saying, look, 7,000 Hearts fans are coming here. They're expecting a win, but you are going to show them, look, it's not going to be that easy.
Aye, and look, it gives Livingston fans a bit of confidence for what's next. Look, Livingston are done. Let's not kid around. They're not going to stay up. But it would take an absolute miracle at this point for Livingston to stay up. So what he's telling Marvin Bartley is now, or what Marvin Bartley's telling the players now is go and enjoy the rest of this season. We might be going down. Of course, he'll not say that to him. He'll try and get them to stay up and he'll try his best. But inside, he said he'll be thinking, right, if I can show these players that they've got what it takes, if we do go down at the end of the season, let's go and show what we can do in the Championship, come back up, and then finally show what we can do in the top flight.
And I think that's a good point you made because he's actually shown himself to be a good manager, and he's actually shown David Martindale that he can install him as a new manager. I don't know if David Martindale is the director of football, but whatever job he's doing at the minute, but
Aye.
maybe he's showing the new German ownership that they can actually trust him, because I think it's so important that young managers like Marvin get the opportunity. Because look at I'm not looking to go on the bandwagon here, but look at the job that Mark Wilson's done at Partick Thistle. Okay, they're 5 points behind St Johnson, but I think the job that he's done is a true example. Why we should show faith in young managers. Look at Dougie Emery yesterday. Dougie Emery, I think he could be a contender for the St Mirren job in the future. I've spoken to Dougie before. He's just somebody that really installs a personality in his squads, Robbie. And that's what football players need. They need somebody with a bit of personality to go in there and shake up dressing rooms.
No, I'll be Craig McLeish for 10 years, mate. I don't know what you're talking about, but no, that is that is
Well,
actually pretty.
Robbie, I see you've got real confidence in Craig McLeish there, mate.
Oh, we'll go on to it. You don't believe half the confidence I have in Craig McLeish. But before we do get into the Saturday games,
Look at
'cause
this boys.
we're done with the Sunday. Before we move into the Saturday games, I've got some guest players, Reagan. I didn't forget for the show. I knew I had to bring some along.
My favourite bit.
So comments, please get involved. You know how this works. I'm going to read out a player's Wikipedia senior career. I'm going to tell you the amount of appearances they had with each club, the year they played with the club, and the goals. What you need to tell me is who's that player, and it's always going to be SPFL themed. I'm never going to name get you a guess a player that's no for the SPFL. So we'll get right into this. Robert says he's reached out to me. I'll get you after the show, mate, and we'll get you set up to come on. But this is always fun. So we're going to get ready.
I'm ready, Robbie, and make sure that everybody don't Google it. Please make sure you try
please
and
don't
get it.
Google. Aye. Right, this is going to be good. Right, so this player started his career in 2006 at Nottingham Forest. He spent 2 years at the club, made 0 appearances, scored 0 goals, but he did have one loan spell at Grays Athletic where he made 5 appearances and scored 1 goal. I don't expect you to get it after that.
No.
Move on.
Yeah, move on out.
Right, in 2008, he moved to Hartlepool United, where he spent 2 years at the English side, making 6 appearances, scoring 0 goals.
No, is it Ryan Flynn?
It's no Flinny Esther. I love it to be Flinny Esther. Flynn started at Liverpool, I think.
Oh, is that what you call him,
I call him Flinny Esther.
I've actually seen him play this season at Bro.
Aye, he's my favourite Simon player of all time. Wee Flynn, I love him. Honestly, he's amazing. So in 2010, this player moved to Rushden and Diamonds in England, where he made 41 appearances and scored 3 goals. We'll keep going. In 2011, he made a big move to Lincoln City, where he made 222 appearances for the English club, scoring 27 goals between 2011 and 2017. No. Next one's probably the biggest clue that I can give you. So if you want, I can move on to that.
On you go, aye.
So in 2017, after a really, really successful spell at Lincoln, he moved up north. He came out of Scotland, where he went to Kilmarnock, where he spent 4 years at Rugby Park, making 118 appearances and scoring 2 goals.
Oh, I was going to say somebody Irish there. I thought it was Paul Heffernan, but it's no, because he scored more than 2 goals. 2 goals. He must have not scored many. He must have known that an eye for a goal anyway.
Nah, definitely not. Considering that was the last 2 goals he scored in his entire senior career. There's a few more clubs though, so if you need to, I can move on.
Robbie, on you go.
Right, in 2021, he then moved to St Mirren, where he spent a year with the Paisley side, making 34 appearances, scoring 0 goals.
Alan Power.
As Alan Power, well done. Of course, he got a red card against Celtic away at Celtic Park. I'll never forget that red card.
He was quite a nasty player, but I quite enjoyed him.
It was a player that you would have loved to have seen play for your club, you know what I mean? I got a wee smiley when you said you were going to say an Irish player, because I was like, oh, Alan Power's Irish, so I knew you'd be sort of thinking.
I thought it was Paul Heffernan to start with, but then...
Aye. I would have told you then, of course, went back to Kilmarnock in 2022, spent a year there, then he went to Greenock Morton in 2023 for a year. He still plays with Lincoln United, I believe.
He likes Lincoln, doesn't
It does, like Lincoln either in England or in the Northern Premier League Division 1 East. So fair
Not gonna
play
be
to him.
getting paid too much there enough.
Nah, he made his money to Kilmarnock and Lincoln, really, didn't he? But Alan Power, man, he's only 38 as well. I thought he was a bit older than that. Are you ready for your next one?
Yep.
Right, this
No,
player
I've got
start.
the puffer.
This next player started his career in 1991, where he spent 3 years at Norwich City, making 102 appearances and scoring 35 goals.
35 goals. Oh. Is it Grun Hole?
It is not, no, it's a decent
Oh, I
guess
thought it
though.
was right away there. It is.
I think you might get it after the next one. Do you want me to go into it?
There you go.
Right, in 1994, after a pretty decent spell with Norwich, he moved to Blackburn Rovers, where he spent 5 years at the side, making 130 appearances, scoring 47 goals.
It's Chris Sutton.
It is Chris Sutton. I knew you would have got it after that one, of course, big Chris.
I've met him before, Robbie.
Aye.
Yeah, I met him in Glasgow because my granddad supports Blackburn.
Right.
So I arranged a meet and greet with him in Glasgow, and he got his Blackburn top signed for Chris Sutton, so he was all happy.
Nice guy.
Aye, he's a big Nottingham Forest supporter.
You
So
don't
he
need to
was,
tell me what other club he likes as well. I think you can probably guess. But no, I would have, of course, told you. He went on to play with Chelsea, Celtic, Birmingham City, Aston Villa, and Wrexham. And then I would have told you, if you didn't get it after that he had one cap for England, the England national team. So
I mean, obviously I'm a little bit young, but I was actually speaking to a few guys over the past week for me, tell me that Chris Sutton played a few games as centre back for Celtic.
aye, really?
Centre back guy.
A man of many talents.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you didn't get it after England tap, I would have told you the England cap. He's currently a media pundit and presenter on Sky Sports, which I'm sure you would have got based off of that. But we'll move on to the final player. This player started
Good.
the senior. Eh?
I'm saying that's great because I thought you only had two here.
No, I always have three for these shows. Always make sure I've got three. But this player started his senior career in 2017 at Vida of Honduran, which might get it away, but
Yes, I know it.
you all know it best
That's
after
too
that.
easy, Rob. You need
I
to go
know.
back to the another one.
Should I try and think of another one?
Aye.
Right, well, I'll tell you what, while I think of
The
another one,
answer is Emilio Izaguirre
it's no Amelia Uzagiri. You've actually got it wrong, Reagan.
for Honduras.
Yep. 2017, he played with Vida, where he spent 5 years at the club, making
Oh, is it
70
Luis
appearances.
Palma?
It is Lewis Palmer, well done. I thought that's who you would have said first.
Oh,
Fair enough, that one was too easy. But while I try and think of another one, let's go to the Saturday games and go to Ibrox, where we speak about the third and final game in the title race, as Rangers defeated Jim Goodwin's Dundee United 4-2. Dundee United actually gave themselves a really good account at Ibrox, Reagan, but Rangers found themselves too strong with goals from Ryan Aderi, John Stelling, Tello Asgard, and Bojan Miovski, Amar Fata, and Zach Sapsford getting the goals for Dundee United.
I Rob, you're being getting a lot of criticism on TikTok over the past few weeks because I've not included Fata in my Young Player of the Year award, and I'm quite upset about that. But I actually tend to agree with the haters on TikTok, to be honest with you, because I think I've jumped too early. I put Luke Graham, to be honest with you, but I think I've jumped too early because Fata is doing really well, to be honest with you.
Amar Fata is a really, really nice player to watch. So is Zach Sapsford. What I will say is Lucas Stevenson's probably my favourite Dundee
And he's
United
brother.
player. Aye, he's a very, very, he's a very, very good player to watch.
You look
But
at
you and Luca go way back, mate. But
I want to.
but no, in all seriousness, Jim Goodwin has got to, although they lost the game, Reagan ultimately, but he's got to be impressed with that performance. I thought Dundee United looked really good in spells.
Robbie, I think that what you've got to say about Jim, even though you don't like to give him credit, I think he's actually shown this year that he's actually doing really well with Dundee United. I think the fans will be pretty happy because you probably don't expect after they go 2-0 down at Ibrox. I'm thinking this could be 4 or 5 here. But they actually bounced back really well. They got the goal before half time, and I'm thinking, right, okay, well, let's see if they can really do well for you, and they actually did. When it gets to 3-2, I'm thinking Ibrox will be a scary place at the minute because Rangers fans will be thinking, right, 2-0 up, then obviously going 3-1 up, then back to 3-2. Rangers fans would be probably not f- thinking it's going to be their day, and then that psychological advantage for Hearts and to Celtic. Um, See the thing as well, Robbie, is I would like to ask Graham as well if he's still there. Don't know if you're there, Graham. But do you think that played a slight psychological effect on Hearts? Because the last two results that they've actually that Rangers and Celtic have played first, they've actually dropped points. You go back to the the match they dropped points at Rugby Park. The Celtic go top of the table the 2 hours before the match, and then Rangers go top of the table, and then Hearts drop points. So I just think that may possibly that psychological edge.
Maybe. Look, the problem is that the managers need to be telling these players, and it's the same with Celtic as well. Anytime they've dropped points, you need to be telling your players, look, as much as there's pressure on us now, you need to go out and play like it's just another game. You need to not let that get into your head because it can really affect you. And I think it probably has affected Derek McInnes more than any other manager, but that's mainly because McInnes has never been in this type of position. No many managers that have managed in the Scottish Premiership have been in this position where they've got a chance to break a 40-year history. That they've got a chance to do
Apart
what
from
no.
Brendan Rodgers,
Aye, well, Brendan Rodgers has
really,
been
for
there
the
and done
last
it all.
15
Aye,
years.
aye, but Derek McInnes has got to be hanging on his head. I've got the chance to do something no one's done since the greatest manager of all time came into Scotland and won it with Aberdeen. So you're setting yourself a very high standard there. But it was also big for Rangers because Rangers knew they had to set the tempo. Reagan, they knew they had to set right. We need to put the pressure on these two teams that are playing on Sunday, and they done that pretty well. To be honest with you, I thought although most of the Rangers goals, I think the first two anyway were pretty avoidable. At the end of the day, Rangers done their job, and I was particularly impressed by Tello Asgard, who I actually thought had a very good game. I thought he was quite energetic on the ball. I thought he was willing to take people on, and I thought Rangers needed to get that job done. They done it pretty well.
Aye, the first goal in particular, the save for the keeper, and then he just sort of rebound in the net. He's got. I think he's got to be saving that the goalkeeper. I think it's totally avoidable. But like you said, the Rangers players are there in the right place at the right time. So I think in general, I don't think that Rangers fans will be too unhappy. I did see some boos. I did see some boos at half time because obviously Dundee United had scored right on half time. So, but Robbie, I want to get into this right. See the booing culture in Scottish football. Why is there so much booing? Is it because of social media, or is it just a thing in general that because you pay your ticket, you think you can boo? I mean, Rangers totally dominated that first half, right? And then that one chance Dundee United get the score. So I don't think you can really boo the players for.
Aye, look, there's always going to be a thing of fans, and especially in the modern day, want their clubs to be winning games 3 or 4-0 every week. You want your club to go out and play the best performance that they possibly can. So although it's not surprising that they booed, I don't really see a need for it, to be honest, in my opinion. I think there's two very different circumstances. I've seen a lot of media criticism directed towards us St Mirren fans for the way we handled Robinson when he came back to the club on Saturday. But it's,
Shocking,
again,
Robbie.
I know, absolutely disgusting. But it's two very different circumstances. Rangers fans are booing because they've just conceded a goal in the blink of half time. that could potentially bring Dundee United back into it in such an important season. St Mirren and by the way, we might as well just get into this because it's the next game we're going to talk about. St Mirren fans booed Robinson, no because the way he left, or no because they left to join Aberdeen. St Mirren fans booed Robinson because he joined a club that are right in the middle of a relegation battle with us. There was absolutely no hostility towards Robinson and why we booed at the weekend. There was nothing. There was no sort of, it wasn't a target at Robinson. Somebody summed it up, Reagan, perfectly on Twitter. Somebody said, you don't boo Robinson because it's serious, you boo him because it's funny. That summed it up. It was
Yeah,
funny to boo him.
it's just banter.
Yeah, exactly. Robinson didn't take it particularly great, and I'll get into him in a minute because I actually have a lot to say on him. But nothing about what we done at the weekend is contrast to what the media have been saying about us, and I think it's very, very harsh criticism on St Mirren fans, to be honest with you.
Scottish football's not just like that. Like Scottish football runs and banter, and I put it on TikTok the other day. Do you think Stephen Robinson will get booed? But see, in general, Robbie, I knew Stephen Robinson would get booed because that's part of what you do. As much as St Mirren fans enjoyed their day, and probably Robbie, I think you're still maybe drunk for that night. But I mean, I think it's just a bit of a laugh. Do you know? I don't think St Mirren fans are going boo to Stephen Robinson. I think they're just trying to make it an intimidating place for any Aberdeen player. Because if St Mirren lost that game to Aberdeen, then there's a big chance they could get dragged into the relegation playoff.
Exactly. There was nothing bad to it. I will sort of get into it in a minute. Just to sort of wrap up at Ibrox, Reagan, Rangers have now shortened the gap between them and Hearts. It's now looking only 3 points between all three clubs in this title race, and it's getting really, really close now.
Yeah, it's getting tasty, and I think it's so good for the game, because as much as Graham said earlier, people keep saying, "Oh, well, Hearts are going to fold at some point." Well, people have been saying that for August.
I know, exactly, and yet they're still in it. So, it's going to be a pretty interesting a few predictions next week. The last game before the split. I'm excited to see what everybody's thinking.
Robbie, I was actually thinking about you yesterday because you told me the stat last Friday about Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts not winning the same weekend, and I was actually thinking
once. Aye.
And I was actually thinking that that's going to be the weekend, but when that actually happens again, but it didn't.
Aye, again, another weekend. It's only happened once this season, so I won't be interested to see if that record keeps up for the rest of the season. But Reagan, I have found another player. This one might be a bit too hard, to be honest with you. I feel a bit bad, but I'm going to run with it anyway. So this player started his senior career at Livingston in 2008, where he spent 3 years at the club, making 69 appearances and scoring 22 goals.
Lee Griffiths.
Snow Lee Griffiths. I like the guess though. In 2011, he moved to Swindon Town, where he spent 2 years at the English club, making 74 appearances and scoring 12 goals.
Swindon? No, I don't know.
Right. In 2013, he moved to Bradford City, where he spent a year at the club, making 20 appearances and scoring 1 goal.
Don't know that one yet, no.
Right. In 2014, I believe this was in January, he moved to Cheltenham Town, where he spent 6 months at the club, making 10 appearances and scoring 3 goals.
Cheltenham Town? No, Robbie, I don't know.
Right, we'll move on. In 2015, at the end of that season, he moved to Ross County, where he travelled back up north, spent a year at Dingwall, making 33 appearances and scoring 3 goals.
Ian Vigurs?
It's no Ian Vigurs. I love the guess, though. It's a great guess. It's one of the toughest ones I've had on the show so far, I think.
Is it that guy? Is it Gardine?
It's no Michael Gardine, no.
Michael Gardine. Who else played for Ross County? Giacoviti?
It's no Alex Giacoviti, no.
Oh, no.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Right, in 2016, after one season at Ross County, he moved to Livingston, where he spent 5 years at a club, making 56 appearances, scoring 6 goals. But I will say, within that, he had 3 loan spells at Partick Thistle, Falkirk, and Edinburgh City. where he made the most out of his most appearances was at Edinburgh City, where he scored 19, made 19 appearances, scored 3 goals. Made 7 appearances at Falkirk and made 9 at Partick Thistle between 2016 and
I'm
2021.
just speechless here, Robbie.
I've only got one more club I can give you,
I
and it's
think you're
probably.
just making it too hard.
Well, you said it was too easy, then it's too hard. It's trying to strike the balance. But do you want the last club?
On you go.
Okay, in 2021, he moved to Rome, where he played with Lupa Roma FC.
Luparoma.
What?
They're called Luparoma.
No, they're actually called Lupa Frascati, but people just call them Lupa Roma. So we're calling them that way. He made only 1 appearance, did not score a goal, of course. And I believe that's all he's had in his football career.
Well, that's some career for the guy. Swindon to Bradford to Ross County to Rome. He's been everywhere.
Don't forget Livingston in the middle of that as well.
Oh, the only good thing about Livingston's at the shopping centre.
I can tell you this football player was born in Rome in Italy. He's currently 38, and his primarily position was a winger or a midfielder.
It's that La Vita. What's he called, La Vita? Da Vita.
There you go. It is Rafael Da Vita.
Oh,
What a player!
Rafael Da Vita. I thought you were going to say Rafael Shite.
Oh, no, that was fun. We'll have 3 again for Friday when we're back. And I should say, by the way, please go back onto the Scottish Football channel Football Zone channel, because there's so much to watch on there, Reagan. There's so many different interviews. Reagan done, Michael's already done a show with the Scottish transplant football team. Of course, Reagan and Ethan were live on Friday. You can go back to our focus on St.
Robert, and I don't know if you know, but obviously the CEO of the Highland Club actually joined Michael on the show. Stephen Ferguson.
Lovely stuff. That is an amazing guest to have on the channel. So if you want, go to the Scottish Football Zone YouTube channel. You can go back and watch that, and so many others. You can probably go back and see some brilliant predictions.
Subscribe in there.
Aye,
Just
make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Click the button and subscribe.
Make sure you also subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone TikTok, where Reagan posts a lot of interviews. I'm going to start getting back onto that. There's probably a few on there for me for someone, but Reagan goes to Partick Thistle, Queen's Park, or other places. He's got a whole variety of interviews you can go and check out for the likes of Scott Brown. Reagan, why don't you fill us in on some more you've done?
Aye, Scott Brown, Mark Wilson, Alex Ray, loads of people. Stuart Kettlewell. Dougie Emery, who won a trophy yesterday.
Yes, very congratulations to Dougie Emery, by the way. Glad to see him away for that Tin Pot club that he used to manage. But aye, fair play to him for winning his first managerial trophy. You know who I'm talking about. I don't need to say the name of the club. Don't start.
He used to play well, didn't he?
No, the old club I used to manage, you know who I'm talking about. But no, fair play to him for winning his first trophy as manager. Of course, actually, I meant to tell you earlier, Reagan, when you were talking about him, I got a LinkedIn connection with Russell Martin this morning when I woke up. So that was so if Russell Martin maybe wants to discuss a few trips to Loch Lomond with the lads, then before we reach out to Sean Martin, and we can arrange a wee trip.
Honestly, I'm putting the feelers into Russell Martin here. Be great to have you on the show, Russell.
It would be. I don't know how possible that is. I don't know what what media he wants today, to be honest with you. But
he's talking to the main men here, Robbie. Us two on the show, he needs people to talk to.
Exactly. But if he wants to join the show, then he's more than welcome. I'm certainly having a nice conversation with him, to be honest with you. And look out, by the way, because I'm sure Reagan will tell you we've got a lot of guests we're trying to get sorted and a lot of things we're trying to do near the end of the season. It's going to be a good run, Reagan.
And I'm looking forward to getting a bro fan, obviously Alan Sutter on our dad's podcast as well. So check that out as well, Robbie. Yeah?
Aye, Bullseye Banter. What an absolute shameless plug for the both of us. Michael would strangle us
Aye.
if we were here. But no, seriously, go and check out Bullseye Banter. It's a great podcast. Me, you, and Owen there. Sorry, I'm trying to do some other stuff in the background as well as do this. But no, seriously, go and check out Bullseye Banter. It's a great podcast. We do once a week. Usually every Wednesday or Thursday, an episode about it, just before the Premier League right now. So make sure you go and check that out as well, because we put a lot of work and effort into doing these shows, and we're so happy that you guys keep commenting, keep coming back. We really, really do appreciate it. So make sure you go and subscribe to that and many, many others. But Reagan, shall we finish up this Saturday card? There's a few more
Aye.
games to talk about, and I want to go to Paisley. And only if I could play music, I'd be saying "Hey there, you" with the sad face, live it up, and all that snaz. Because Robinson's men get absolutely schooled on Saturday at the Smizer Stadium as Sitman ran out 2-0 winners. Craig McLeish's Tiki Taka Black and White Army absolutely schooled Stephen Robinson, who was at the club for 4 years. And you know what, Reagan? I'm going to go on a wee rant here. I'm called Robbie Rant for a reason. Michael
Robbie
likes to call
Rants
me
is on
that.
a rant here.
Exactly. He likes to
I
call
think
me
it's
that.
going to touch on later.
I am annoyed at Stephen Robinson, and I'm not annoyed because he left to manage Aberdeen. That's the least of my concerns. You know what? Everybody needs to move on. Right, 4 years he's spent at the club. Did we even get a thank you after Stephen Robinson? Did we even get a message in the leaving statement? Did we get anything in any press conference? No, we got absolutely nothing. Absolutely zero words spoken for Stephen Robinson when he left the club. And you know what? See, for a servant that managers for 4 years, I'm disappointed at that, because I know he left to go to Aberdeen, right? And I know he's in the middle of a relegation battle ways, and he probably doesn't want to do that to the Aberdeen fans. But he couldn't even put something in the leaving statement that the club released. He couldn't even say thank you, or it's been a pleasure to manage the club, or that, you know, all the rest of it. That, Reagan,
On you go,
that,
Robbie. On you go.
that.
And don't you want to say this is great?
No, there's many things I could say about Stephen Robinson, alright? And I'll always respect him for what he done, and I love the work that he done at the club. But see, no even saying it until he delivered us this, by the way. This is what he delivered us, the trophy. I got a picture with the trophy, right? He delivered us that, and he couldn't even give us a goodbye or anything. You know what, Reagan? That annoyed me as a fan. I don't know about you, but I was livid.
I didn't know that he didn't say true to Robbie, but he should be saying like, thank you to St Mirren, because St Mirren also, as much as Stephen Robinson gave St Mirren a platform, St Mirren also gave Robinson a platform to do well.
4 years we backed him. 4 years the club put money in for him to invest into. We done things to Robinson White. He upgraded so much into the club. And I get that it was a two-way street. We done a lot for him as well as him doing a lot for us. But the fact, and I will go and actually double check
Robbie,
this.
this seems like like when you've got an ex and you're not happy with. This seems like not happy here.
No, this was harder to take than the next just me. This was pretty bad. I'm trying to double check the now. I believe there was literally zero said. He didn't say anything in the media about his time at the club. All he said was, "Oh, I'm no surprised with anything in football anymore." When he was asked about if there was going to be booze or anything, no, even, you know, oh, I'm excited to go back to the club. I'm excited to see people.
Well,
Reagan,
I
he was
thought
he was
I
walking around the
definitely
pitch at
thought
the
you were
end.
saying that, Robbie, no?
No, he was walking around the pitch at the end of the game, shaking the players' horns like he's never managed them before. And you're just thinking, what are you all about? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not something I should be getting annoyed about, but I was annoyed, alright, when I seen it happen. So, aye, there's my rant done for the day. But what a day it was in Paisley, Reagan. It's Mum 2, Aberdeen now. Wow, the football we played in that game, Reagan, was absolutely phenomenal. After the first 45 minutes, 73% possession, 7 shots to Aberdeen's 1. We had 3 on target. We hit the crossbar for Liam Donnelly header. We played Aberdeen after park in the first 45 minutes.
Do you think that Robinson might be regretting his call?
Oh, I hope he's regretting his call, alright. I mean, don't get me wrong, his bank account will not be regretting the call, and the amount of money that he's making and the amount of money that he's got to work with. He'll not be regretting that, but he's looking at an Aberdeen team, and I'm going to say it here live, Reagan. He's looking at an Aberdeen team that are going to be playing Championship football next season. I'm telling you now, they're going down.
Really?
I think Aberdeen are away.
Robbie, that'll be going to TikTok later to see what people are thinking.
Oh,
Is that
please
I
put it on
really
TikTok.
say that again?
Please put it on TikTok. I thought you put all the clips on TikTok. Oh man, you've got me going, man. I'm on a rant now. I'm on a proper Robbie rant. This is mad. But no, Reagan, seriously, I've never been more confident in Craig McLeish for this job, and he's only managed 3 senior games with the club.
I think he's learning for his dad as well, Robbie. But Big Alex.
Alex McLeish, he's got a great group around him. Jamie Langfield, they speak so highly in press conferences, the way he likes to do set pieces. And it was 2 set pieces that broke Aberdeen down in that game. 2 fantastic goals. The first one for Jonah Ayunga on the 40th minute just before half time. Reagan, I'm going to assume you've seen the highlights. What a finish for the big man. A superb finish into the bottom left.
Oh, brilliant, Robbie. And I think that's just a player that's full of confidence since Craig's come in the door. And obviously, like you said there, 73% possession. I mean, people can get lost up on someone scored 2 set plays, but some of the play as well was great.
You know how good it was to watch Tiki Taka football. Like, we were actually doing one-touch passes. It was brilliant to watch. We were doing it in triangles. We were playing it into Ayunga. He was playing it back. We were knocking the ball about the place.
I don't want to sound controversial here, but Robbie, but do you think Stephen Rums was maybe
holding his back? He was holding his back. I think I'd use that, to be honest with you. And I don't say that for the last 4 years, by the way. I'm not trying to say Robinson.
Do you think maybe he was holding them back, or do you think like after Saturday that just kind of nailed it for you? Or?
I think Robinson was a very, I don't want to say stubborn, I think it's a bit too strong, but it was a man set in his ways as a manager. Robinson liked to do things his way, liked to play his style, he liked to use his players. I mean, you look at 2 of the standout players for that game, Liam Donnelly and Alan Campbell, they wouldn't even get near the St Mirren team under Robinson. And Craig McLeish has done what Marvin Bartley's done at Livingston and said, look, and this is one of the big things for me, Reagan, the style that Craig McLeish and Stuart Taylor, by the way, who's done a pretty good job as well since coming in, he shouldn't have gone under the radar either. What they've said to the players is go out and express yourselves. They like to play a more attacking style. They like to play a one-touch passing style. Yes, we're going to make mistakes, and I think I think some fans maybe are a bit harsh to, as soon as one misplaced pass happens, to boo it straight away. Mistakes are going to happen when you play that style of football. Look at what happened to Motherwell when they went to Celtic Park. They made the mistake that lost them the game at Celtic Park, trying to play that way. So it's going to happen. But see, when it works, it looks amazing to watch. And it's not going to work 100% of the time. Then they can play a perfect match. It's impossible. But what he has done now is he's built a style of play that's genuinely lovely to watch, whilst keeping that Robinson sort of mould of being defensive, being hard to break down, being hard to beat. And he's combined the 2, and it looks absolutely amazing to watch. Some of the spaces we were getting ourselves into was incredible. We should have been 4 or 5 up by half time. It was such a good watch. Aberdeen fans, I should say, Reagan, were booing random points in the game. There was a boo when we were 1-0 up about, I think it might have been like the 50th minute, and I think Aberdeen put a long ball at the tap. It doesn't work. Gogic clears it. And the Aberdeen fans go absolutely ballistic. Like, I'm talking about, they're up off their seats, they're booing, they're getting angry at the club, at the manager. And as the game goes on, I think they just get more hostile, to be honest with you. Especially when the second goal went in with Scott Tanzer. A lovely ball into the box, Gogic, an absolute bullet header. And we were singing Robbo, what's the score? And you're getting sacked in the morning, so that was good. But we do have another guest joining us on the show. He just watched his team, as we spoke about earlier, pick up a 2-1 win away at Dens Park. We'll ask him about that when he comes on. But it is Jamie, fell off the underside. Jamie, how you doing, man?
I'm
very good. I'm very good, boys. How you doing?
I'm not bad, Jimmy. I'm just trying to make sure Robbie's okay. Did you hear his run there?
Yes, I was just listening. He's getting very excited, isn't he? It was a good performance and all that. Bank, he needs to calm down a wee bit with drink.
Aye, I mean, Stephen Robinson, he was making him look as if he was a bad manager there. He was like,
exactly. He's got a small memory, man. Last time he was on here, he was waxing lyrical. Now he's like, Stevie who? You know what I mean?
No, look, he gets schooled by an under-19 coach. But no, seriously, I'll never, I can't ever fault him for what he done at the club, but it is nice to see a fresh style of play and a fresh tactic that worked. You know, it worked an absolute treat. Some of Sportsing didn't show enough, man. Some of the passages of play that we were playing up the pitch was just outstanding to watch. It was like watching Motherwell at times. You know, it was that kind of one passing triangle shape, try to get space and pop him out a bit of place, and it was good to watch. But I mean, Jamie, what did you make of the game?
Well, I was just looking at the stats before I came on, mate, and it was a bit of a battering, you know. Aberdeen didn't have one shot on target, which is no acceptable. I heard you saying before I came on, mate, that you think Aberdeen are goners this season. My initial kind of gut feeling is they will get it together at some point. I think Stephen Robinson will kind of get some points together, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that you can't go away to games like St Mirren, and they done it in Hearts the other week as well, where they didn't even get a shot on target and stuff. It's just not good enough. But aye, fair play to St Mirren, mate. You know what I mean? Like last time I was on, we were discussing who the next manager could be for St Mirren and stuff, and we did speak about an interim manager. McLeish's got it. They brought in who's the assistant they brought in again?
Stuart Taylor,
ex St Mirren player and stuff. So maybe a wee gem for you, mate. You know what I mean? So he started off really well. Great result at Falkirk. Great result at the weekend there. So fair play, St Mirren, mate. You know what I mean? It's like he could have went the other way. You know, losing a manager of that stature and stuff, and what he's done for you, and kind of could have been looking down the way. But no, he's done a great job, and fair play to you, mate.
Aye, there's and you know, I think the good thing about the weekend was it didn't take much motivation on the players, did it? You know, you stick a picture of Robinson on the wall and go, just go out and prove why he shouldn't have left. You know, that type of thing. That's what it really took for the players. And I just, you know, again, I'll never fault him for what he done, but I just couldn't help but feel disrespect. You know, that no even acknowledging the club in his press conferences, no even acknowledging the last 4 years his managerial tenure. And Jamie, I think you agree with me that I understand where it comes from in terms of Aberdeen. You know, he needs to focus on that job and he needs to focus on trying to keep them up, but not even a single acknowledgement on the players. You know, as I mentioned to Reagan, walking around the pitch after the game, shaking the players' hands like they've never spoke before. It was all just weird things that were happening, to be honest with you, with Robinson.
It's not really what you want to see, is it? You know, especially after a good few years and what he achieved. And you've got to remember as well, I mean, St Mirren gave him, you know, the time of day as well, you know what I mean? When he was at Morecambe and stuff, you know what I mean? It didn't quite work out and they brought him back up the road or whatever. But I mean, whatever, you know, you just move on now, isn't it? You just say thanks for your service, and he's going to say thanks. But if he's showing a bit of disrespect to the club, then it's not really what you want to see. But that's just one of the things, mate. You know what I mean? I'm sure you'll be looking for Aberdeen to go down now if he continues that kind of attitude.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. If Stephen Robinson got them done, man. It'd be glorious. No, you know, it is what it is. It's football. I mean, he used the term, to quote exactly what he said, it's football. You know how it is in the modern day. That's just how it is. Everybody moves on at some point. But Jamie, it would feel rude not to bring you on and no ask you about Dens Park and ask you about Celtic's 2-1 win. We spoke about it briefly earlier. Brendan Rodgers' phone book playing a big hand in Celtic's title charges. Ian Atchell, of course, scores the winner. But I mean, what did you think of the game overall?
I think it was I think first half we were really good. If we had a decent striker, we would have been 3 or 4 up. I think Fionn Chara's just no up to it. I think that has pretty much been established now that a big man's just he's no up for it. But neither is like Adamu, but I looks at it. And then Ian Atchell, who I've said for a long time since he's come in, is probably the best striker at the club. If he gets fit and he gets sharp, then he will score goals. And when he came on yesterday, I was like, right, if he gets any of the kind of opportunities that Fionn Chara had, he will take them. And that's exactly what happened. He had that opportunity, stuck it in the back of the net. And if we keep him fit, mate, I reckon we can really push for this title now. I did do a video last week saying that Celtic are out it. Probably just went a wee bit too early there. But to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting Hearts to drop anything yesterday. I was expecting a tough game for them. But I did think that Hearts were going to win the game quite comfortably. But I mean, the league title is back on now. I feel a wee bit better than now that we're only 3 points behind Hearts and we've still got to play them. We've still got to play Rangers and that. So, listen, Celtic have been criticised a lot this season, and quite rightly so. But they have showed a bit of resilience, I believe, as well at times. Do you know what I mean? It's like yesterday, it would have been easy for them just to go, you know what, this will be another week here where we don't get the points. And there's been a lot of kind of late winners. You look at the comeback against Kilmarnock, you look at the last minute goal against Livingston, even the way he performed at Ibrox in the second half. You know, they have showed resilience. But what we need now is, and I was saying this on, we've got a new podcast called The Celtic Corner, me and Corey.
Jimmy,
And I was saying,
follow that on TikTok, mate.
aye, we've talked about this yesterday, and I'm hoping now that Ian Actual, if he does stay fit, that we can actually, what's not been happening in a long time now, is start a game well, score a goal, become a bit more comfortable, get another couple. You know what I mean? I honestly can't remember the last time that happened where Celtic absolutely destroyed a team. You know what I mean? It's always kind of slogging out results and trying to get the last minute winners and trying to kind of grind out performances. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm hoping next week, no disrespect, Robbie, but you know, St Mirren at home, you're hoping you're sitting there and you're thinking, right, if Celtic get an early goal, this could be a comfortable afternoon. And I'm hoping that happens next week because it's been far, far too long since we've actually destroyed a team, particularly at Parkhead. Do you know what I mean? So I'm feeling a bit more confident, mate. It was a good kind of grinding out performance yesterday. Like I say, if we'd have got that earlier, you know, if Fian Chara had at least took one of the goals, one of the opportunities, sorry, then we would have, I think we would have won no bother. But aye. But what did you make of I know it's you're asking the questions, mate, but I was wondering what you are making of these penalty decisions, the penalty decisions, the VAR decisions yesterday. Basically the Dundee one and also the Hearts, the Leonards. What did you make of them?
I thought the Hearts one was a sending off, but I just, to be honest with you, I just don't know. I don't know why the referee, sort of, I don't know why the referee needs VR for the two goals. To be honest,
Exactly. I mean, the Leonard one, for instance, it's like, this is the problem. It's like the referee, right? He had a clear picture of that, right? It's not as if there was anything in his way. It's not as if there was any kind of obstructions of his view or anything like that. He made the decision that there was far too much of the pitch, you know, for the boy to run through and score. That's what I believe he gave him a yellow card for. Do you know what I mean? But then they tell him to go to VAR and he changes his mind. And I'm like, what is it that he's seen so differently there that he didn't see the first time? And that's the problem. You know, I really want referees to be allowed to come out and explain themselves. And I don't mean in every single match and in every single incident. But see, when it comes to big things like that, I mean, Derek McInnes has gone for a title here. And the boy Leonard has come in. He's played really well. He's established himself as a first team player at Hearts. And he'll be out for a couple of games now if they appeal it and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't get apprehended. But I mean, it's like, it's just no wonder managers get frustrated and stuff because you want an explanation. McInnes might have went in after the game and asked for an explanation or whatever, but it just feels like, you know, you've made your decision. But the only reason you've changed that is because VAR says go and have a look at it. You never seen anything different from what you've seen initially. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure it couldn't be that difficult to put these put a set of mics on referees, like you know, especially in the Premiership, and you know, explain their
they probably
decisions.
don't
You know,
want to do. They probably don't want to do it, Robin, because it's strong language for both the referee and the
I mean,
players.
you get. I mean, that's a part of a referee's job, really, isn't it? I mean, you're going to get strong language shouted at you. Not if you're a referee, it comes part and parcel. Unfortunately, the way it's the way it is. You know, the referees go out to the VAR monitors and they're getting shouted abuse at them every week. So it's like it's going to happen. But I agree with you, Jamie. It wouldn't be too difficult to put a set of mics on these referees and really explain what's going on. And you're right. I think the word I'd probably use for referees now is they're getting a bit lazy with their decisions because now they've got the freedom and gone, right, well, if I get this decision wrong, say it's a home ball, VAR's just going to come in and back me up. You know, we've been saying that for months, so it's I don't know if our referees' job's becoming a bit more, a bit less. Sorry, a bit less. I don't want to say important, but you know what I'm getting at. It's a
No,
bit
you're
less
spot on, Robin, with what you're
front and
saying
forward. In terms of, you know, they can just use VAR as a backup if they need it.
there. Aye. And I think that's the problem because I think Mark Grady said it on a different radio station the other day that they let's see if the referees make a wrong call but they go to VR, then they don't get marked they don't get marked down for it. So they know, for example, that if they make a wrong call for Celtic, for instance, say like John Beaton did like for the Celtic Motherwell game, but because uh, because he made a right call for Celtic they could call it a VAR, then that means that he's not going to get marked down. So he'll get all the top matches.
Aye.
So like say you make a call, right, and say you send somebody off, but it's a total wrong call, then you get 2 points taken off you. So the referee's not going to take that chance, is he?
Definitely, but the thing is, it's like, see, after the match, see if it's just a case of, listen, tell fans this is what I saw. You know what I mean? This is why I gave this decision. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I did get that one wrong. Maybe that was kind of on me or whatever. But this is the reason I got it wrong. This is what I seen. Like that one yesterday, and even the Celtic one. To me, that was a. To me, it right. If I'm being honest, I don't believe that the Hearts one was a red. I believe that there was too much pitch. Okay, there wasn't much cover and stuff, but you can't call that a goal scoring opportunity. You know what I mean? It was literally just like a step inside his own half. And then
Totally.
the thing is, right, so if that's the line, right, if that's the line of that, then the one at Celtic is a stone waller, an absolute stone waller, because he's further ahead. There's more a goal scorer opportunity than it is. But I mean, I don't know. It's like,
But then, Jamie, do you think the referee was then influenced by the game earlier? Do you think that they would have possibly shown a yellow, but because he's seen that red earlier, he's been
good point, mate. Aye,
influenced
it's a good point. I mean, that's possible. That's definitely possible that he's looked at that one earlier and went, well, if that's a red card, then this is a red card. But like I say, man, for me, it's a yellow card in the Hearts one. I think Leonard's, that's extremely harsh. It was a foul. You know what I mean? The boy was away. I'm not denying that the boy was away, but he's still got a lot of work to do to beat the goalkeeper and all that for there, and for any Hearts player to know to catch him and stuff. But it was one of the clinical fouls, as you call it. But if that's the line, man, we're going to be getting loads and loads of red cards. You know what I mean? It's not even like that one that we trusted earlier on in the season. Looking at that one now, if that Leonard's a red card, that Austin Trusty one's a stonewall red. You know what I mean? It does it really matter where the ball's gone and stuff like that? If you're miles away if you go, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where the ball's travelling and stuff. So I just think it's pretty worrying if that's the rules, man, because he had far too much work to do, in my opinion. And like I said, the referee gave a yellow card. So I don't know, man. I just think that just influenced by VAR, innit?
I think to make it even worse for Hearts, they didn't actually get to take the free kick. They actually got
Aye.
because the referee blew for the free kick, but then he blew for full time. So he basically just sent them off and then straight up the tunnel.
And I was thinking, well, surely it's going to be at least another minute here. You know what I mean? As soon as the ball get put in the air, he's like, blow the whistle, and you're like, what? But again, man, it's baffling. If he came out and explained these decisions at the end, you wouldn't be having any of these questions.
Aye, so see where they asked the red card for Dundee, right? This where the ball's moving make no impact on it at all, and what the referee's decision is. Because I think personally, right, I agree. I think it is a red card, right? But you've got to make an argument that the ball's not even gone towards the net. But when is it Yang that kicks it? And runs. The ball's gone the complete opposite direction. I think it was the Trusty one you mentioned earlier in the season where the ball was also moving away for the goal. Yeah, it sort of gives it a red. So it's a bit like, well, what are you sort of doing with that situation?
Exactly, and we don't get told the explanations enough. We don't get told the rules. We could all look up, right, what are the rules here? But at the end of the day, it's down to the referee, it's down to VAR and how they interpret things, but you never get to hear from them. I don't understand. I do understand in a sense why you never hear from referees, right? Because you don't want it to be every single match and every single decision and it just turn into, this big thing and stuff. But they should be allowed to, if a referee decides, you know what, I want to come out and talk about this, they should be allowed to do it. You know what I mean? They should be allowed to, after the match, just like any other interview, whether it's a player, a manager, a coach, they should be allowed to just come out and go, listen, I want to come out and explain this decision, but I'm not allowed to. So
I think the only audio they ever spoke about was the one where Rangers scored, but the actual goal was offside. Remember the one, was it Adalasima? Remember people were saying that goal should have stood, but then the referees actually said, well, it was actually offside, remember?
I remember one you're talking about, me, but I mean, I think they're trying to justify it now, be like doing what England do, with Howard Webb and stuff. They're bringing out Willie Collum at the end of kind of certain, points of the season and stuff, and but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. I mean, we don't really care about what decisions that happened 3-4 months ago. We care about what happens in the here and now, and I don't want to hear about what happened at the weekend there, in 2 months, 3 months. I want to know now what was the thinking here.
And
Aye,
I think as
exactly.
well, like it's not like an agenda against one club. I think every club's been penalised here. Like because if you look at like say, if you look at like certain tackles and stuff like that, and then you look at tackles the following week, the exact same tackle, it's not been even looked at. It's just like that just tackle on the Motherwell player, just and then on Chamberlain, that should have been a clear red. And then you look at the one, who was it? Tierney few weeks ago. Tierney got absolutely battered off somebody in the a few weeks ago when Celtic were playing at home, and they didn't even the player didn't even get booked.
Aye,
Aye.
there's no consistency. That's definitely true. You know what I mean?
Aye.
But
But boys, I'm going to ask you a really difficult question. As you mentioned, Jamie, you said you're feeling a lot more optimistic about this title race. So what I want to know is, boys, who's winning it then? If you had to make a prediction right now, who's walking away with the Scottish Premiership title?
Regan, I'll let you go first, mate.
Celtic for me after yesterday, because the bottle of hearts has shown. You know, I think that if you asked anybody in the Premier League where do you want to go for a 3 points right now, I think that's a perfect game. And the fact that they're now going in the top six matches against Motherwell, against Rangers, against Hibs. And don't forget, they're playing Celtic away, they're playing Rangers at home, and then they're playing an Edinburgh Derby. So I just feel like Celtic and Martin Hill's experience will bring them through. And as well with Rangers still need to go to Tynecastle. And as much as Celtic have actually played pretty bad this year, Celtic against Hearts at Tynecastle this season have not won a match. So it just shows you how difficult it is to go there. So for me, it's going to be Celtic.
um, it's changing week to week, man. For me, you know what I mean. I'm trying like a hypocrite every single week because I'm just saying like you're out it, or you know, Hearts have no chance. Rangers are poor. You know what I mean. So it's like no matter what I say here, it's probably going to come back and haunt me. But I do believe now, as we stand right now, boys, I think it's between Celtic and Rangers. I've been really unimpressed with Hearts over the last few weeks. And I know it's mental to say that since they are top of the league and you know we're chasing them, but I agree with Regan. You know, I don't think they've been good at all in the last few weeks. I've been very, very kind of uninspired. Watching the game against Kilmarnock on the Saturday night, I thought they were awful, like really, really poor. They didn't even create an opportunity. Yesterday as well. Okay, they did score a couple of goals in that. It's a massive boost that Shankland's back in the team and stuff. But I mean, Livingston started off really well in the match. I was really impressed with them for the first 15, 20 minutes to get their goal. Scored a really nice goal through Stevie May. There are a couple of opportunities, and I was thinking if they don't take these opportunities, Hearts will come back in this game because every game you watch, you know, that's the thing as well. It's like there's going to be more twists and turns, and we've been going about this for a long time now, and there has been twists and turns, and there's going to be more because every game you watch, everybody's got a spell. You know what I mean? It's like yesterday when Celtic were missing all the opportunities, and I was thinking Dundee are going to have a spell here. You know what I mean? And they did, and they scored their goal, and the exact same way Livingston. You know what I mean? And Hearts got their spell. Shanklin scored a lovely header and stuff, but I've got to admit, overall, I thought Hearts were pretty rotten as well. I don't think they created much chances outside the two goals that they scored and stuff. So I agree. I think it's going to be a tough game for Motherwell against Motherwell on Saturday for Hearts. Celtic play St Mirren at 3 o'clock as well. If Celtic and Hearts win the match, the pressure's all on Rangers, and that might, you know, it's all about pressure. It's all about pressure as well now. Do you know what I mean? I did say last
Aye.
week if Hearts or Rangers drop any points this weekend, and Celtic will be inspired by that because the pressure's now kind of like we're back in this, let's go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the pressure's on the teams that are, you know, haven't got the job done yet and that. Do you know what I mean? So I don't
Jamie, the
know.
thing for
I,
me
I,
is,
I do believe it's between Celtic and Rangers, but I don't really want to say Rangers. But if I was to somebody was to say to me, put a £20 bet on right now, I'd put it on Rangers.
right, okay. And Jamie, the thing for me as well as Jamie is, I'd like to get your thoughts on is, like, see in terms of like, Celtic in general, see every time the Hearts play after Celtic and Rangers, they always seem to slip up.
Aye, that's what I'm saying. So it's like the pressure zone and it's different because Celtic yesterday were still chasing, right? So it's weird, man, because it's like if Hearts had played later, I think Hearts would have struggled as well as Celtic and Rangers had both won because Hearts are leading the pack. I think if you're leading, like the pressure zone, do you know what I mean? The pressure zone. Whereas if you're kind of just behind, it's like, right, we need to win the next match, we need to win the next match and stuff. It's a weird situation to be in, man. It's like, 3 points between the top three in this country with 6 games to go is incredible, man. We should all be proud of the league this season, even though it's not been the best standard and stuff. The fact that we're here with 6 games to go, 3 teams could win it, man. Even the relegation point, I think we all agree Livingston's away, but Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, St Mirren, are all down there as well. The bottom of the league, Andy could go down top of the championship as well. Is exciting and stuff. So I mean, it's been a really, really good season if you look at it from that point of view. Maybe not look at it from the standard point of view right enough, but
Well earned.
either way, man. Either way, there's going to be twists and turns, boys, and it's going to be exciting.
See,
Well
I've got
earned.
another point as well, and I hope Neil Doncaster is listening in the SPFL because surely this is a point, guys, where he actually say he talks to like Amazon or somebody like that and says, "Look, the SPFL's had the best season in years. Surely you want to sign up for next year? Surely there's got to be somewhere where we can get a bigger TV deal because like this has been a great season. We need to take advantage of it."
Well, the problem is I don't think the Sky deal's still got a few years yet on it, doesn't it? So I'm going to assume Sky are going to want to see that out, especially if the league continues to go in the way it's going right now. And that's unfortunate for us because we probably could get a better package. I did just see actually the Scottish Amateur Football Associations have opened up a pay-per-view package for their whole league, so you can buy any game you want, anytime you want to watch any team. So it's a time where that market's starting to open up, and I'd be interested to see if the SPFL would ever take a look at that. But you're right. But I think we learned 2 things at the weekend, in my opinion. I think we learned Celtic can handle the pressure because they would have folded at the ends if they couldn't. And I think we learned Hearts can handle the pressure if they're playing on the Sunday. I think that's the 2 things we learned. We're yet to really tell with Rangers. There has been points where Rangers haven't handled it very well, and there's been points that they have. We'll find out next week because obviously, as you said, Jamie, Celtic and Hearts play on the Saturday, Rangers play away at Falkirk. So that's going to be an interesting weekend. But my main takeaway for that weekend is Hearts can't handle being the Sunday team. They cannot hack that pressure. And as you said, Jamie, although we're going to talk about Motherwell's defeat in a minute, Hearts are struggling big time, don't they?
They are, mate. And like I say, they've been really, really unimpressed with them the last few weeks and stuff. And I got a question for you, Stu. When you're talking there, I've got a question because I'm interested in this. Like I say, it's been one of the best seasons so far for controversy towards the end of the season. 6 games to go between three teams, 3 points in it. Hearts are leading the pack. You've got to say that Hearts have done excellent this season. Derek McInnes has done really, really well as the manager. They've brought some really quality players in, like Kariadis and Braga and people like that, through the Jamestown analytics thing and stuff. Tony Bloom has been an asset to Hearts this season. Question is for you, see next season, do you think that continues? Or do you think this has been a wee bit of a kind of, a red herring of a season for Hearts where they've started off well and they've maintained that and stuff? Do you think next season they can kick on? And if they don't win, regardless of if they win the league this season, do you think they can kick on next season?
No.
No.
Yes. Hearts. Reagan, you said it earlier, right? Celtic and Rangers are going to improve undoubtedly next season. I think both clubs right enough are in very different situations. Celtic are in a situation where every fan wants the board gone, and there's going to be a lot of transitioning. I'd imagine at Celtic over the next couple of seasons with board members and all that, etc., etc. Rangers, the 49ers are going to want a league. They're no here to mess about. They bought Rangers for a reason. They're going to want silverware and they're going to want it quick. Saying that, I cannot see Derek McInnes and Tony Bloom going away, and I can't see the Hearts team going away either. Do I think it will be to this extent? Do I think by the 5th of April in 2027, do I think Hearts will be tapped? I don't think they'll be near tapped, to be honest with you. But I don't think they're ever going to fully escape away from maybe challenging for second. And look, of course, if you were asking the Hearts fan, they go, right, well, we will keep improving, we will keep challenging for titles. I think it's far too unrealistic to ask a team to compete with the likes of Rangers who spent 43 million in January, never mind a summer transfer window. I think it's very far stretched to ask Hearts to compete with that. But I do think Hearts. I think over the next 10 years, Hearts will finish third or second more often than not. I can't see Hearts having another season where they're going to be in the relegation zone or they're going to be bottom six, because I think unlike your Aberdeens and your Hibs, Tony Bloom's got that investment. And look, Tony Bloom's not here to mess about either. He's going to put a lot of money, but Tony Bloom, in my opinion, can't invest as much as the 49ers can at Rangers, or as much as Celtic might be able to invest going forward. So I think they'll go away to some stretch. I'm not saying they're going to be up challenging for the league next year, but I definitely don't think it's going to be Celtic and Rangers finish 20 points ahead of third next season. It's going to be tight in that, I think.
I think I agree with you on that, mate. I think that they will only fall away. They've got Tony Bloom knows what he's doing. He's been the chairman of Brighton for a long time now. He's made some good decisions already since he's come in by appointing McInnes and getting these Jamestown analytics boys in to buy guys like Braga and Carreras and stuff. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. The finances will come into it eventually. Celtic, I know it's a mad thing to say, but like I just cannot see Celtic having the same summer as they did last season. I just don't think it'll be tolerated. But then again, I did say that last summer, so nothing would really surprise me with the Celtic board. I mean, they've shown that they don't have any kind of regard for how Celtic fans feel or whatever. But I just think the Celtic will go out and spend next season. It'll be like a fresh start, I think, with a new manager coming in, whoever that may be. God knows. Hope it's Askew, but we'll see. But I think Hearts will just maintain it. I agree they won't challenge for leagues season after season, but they won't fall away.
To ask you then, Jamie, just based off of that question, if Hearts win the league this season, obviously that gets them Champions League qualification, and I'd assume Tony Bloom would put some amount of money in to try to get Hearts into the Champions League phase, although what a hard task that's going to face to be. But what does the landscape look like then for Hearts if they go on and win this league?
Thing is, it's like, you say they'll spend money and stuff, but it's still going to be the same challenges of trying to get players to go to Hearts. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not going to get high-level players going to Hearts that have established themselves. It's just not going to happen. Regardless if they win the league or not, there's still going to be players out there going like, it was a freak season, I'm not going to Hearts though. You know what I mean? It's like different with Celtic and Rangers. You know that they will consistently compete for trophies every season, but who are you going to really get? You might spend some money and stuff, but you're not going to get in. Even if you go out and spend 15 million on a player, who's going to go to Hearts? You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. So, but I don't know, mate. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to say. My head tells me if Hearts win this league and they get into the Champions League, they'll get battered. You know what I mean? They'll not get into the actual Champions League kind of, group stages and stuff like that. So I think it's probably better in that sense, Champions League sense, Scottish football sense, as in the Europe side of things. It's probably better if Celtic and Rangers get in there because they've got more an opportunity to compete in the Champions League. But then you look at it from the outside, if you're down in England or you're anywhere else in the world, you look up in Scotland and you see somebody else outside Celtic and Rangers winning it. It's probably a really good thing as well. But I don't really know. It would be more beneficial to Scottish football. I'm not sure.
I think, is it Rangers that have got Otto or is it Celtic?
Yes, it's Rangers.
I think for Scottish football, you're probably looking at Rangers then as your best sort of bet. I don't get me wrong, Celtic will never let a result like Kairat or Matty happen again. I truly believe that, as Jamie mentioned with the summer.
I don't know about that, Robbie.
No, I cannot see Celtic allowing a result like that to happen in the Champions League again. I can't. I just don't think that's something the club will do. So I don't know. You're right, Jamie. It's such a weird one. To answer the question earlier that I even asked, if I had 20 quid in front of me and somebody said put a bet on who wins the league, then I'd put Rangers as well, to be honest with you, from an outsider point of view. It's still astonishing to me that Rangers have only lost 2 league matches this season, yet find themselves still sitting behind Hearts after 12 draws. It's a pretty crazy start when you look at it like that. Any of the draws turn into wins and you're looking at a completely different story, to be honest with you. So it is so interesting.
See, to be honest with you, mate, see if Celtic somehow win this league. For me, there's only one person that has made that happen, and it's Mark Laniel. The job that guy's done is just incredible, absolutely incredible. Even if we don't win the league, man, at this point to still be competing with everything that's happened this season, man, I think he's still the best manager in the league. And he's the difference. He's the X factor when it comes to Celtic still being in this title race, in my opinion. Okay, it was a very bad result last week, and I did criticise him for some of the things he done, like playing Rio Atati at right back, which was just mental to me. You know, he's not even good at his own position. I mean, putting him in a position he's not used to. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that was a disastrous 15 minutes that Dundee United ended up scoring their second goal for. So, you know, it just shows you this week Hattati didn't even get on the park. You know what I mean? So, but that's the thing. Martin O'Neill learns for these things. He understands these things when he sees them. And I believe that, put it this way, out of the three teams, I'd be wanting to get, if I was an outsider, I'd be wanting to get him with this manager, Martin O'Neill, in the last 6 games to go. So I think there's got to be statues and everything of that guy if we win the league this season, because after what Wilfred Nancy done, after what Brendan Rodgers done, after what Dermot Desmond and his boy have done this season, and everything else, Peter Lawwell, we know that, you know, fucking what's his face sitting, sorry for my language, sorry, what's his face, Paul Disdale sitting in the stands sleeping and stuff like that. You know, after everything that's happened this season, Martin O'Neill's got to have a statue outside Parkhead if Celtic win the league.
Not to
Jamie,
this.
see, the thing is that I was thinking about as well. Do you think that Celtic winning the title actually is bad for is bad for maybe Celtic fans, because then the board go, well, Dermot Desmond was born, it's Brendan Rodgers' fault. Martin O'Neill won it.
Well, I'm a big proponent for it is a lot of Brendan Rodgers' fault, to be honest. Brendan Rodgers started the season didn't want to be at Celtic, he wanted to be in Saudi. This is my honest opinion. He didn't want to be there. He fell out with the board and stuff. That's why he didn't sign his contract, and his heart wasn't in it. That's why he played Dane Murray at Tynecastle that day. That's why he was making decisions that everybody was going, what are you doing? Because he was trying to work his way out the club. So I blame Brendan Rodgers, I blame Dermot Desmond, I blame everybody, every single person apart from Martin O'Neill and the club. I blame all the players for how they performed throughout the season and stuff like that.
Sorry, Jimmy, my point is,
I know.
do you think that Celtic will just go, well, our recruitment's been fine, there's nothing to see here?
I know what you're saying, mate, and that is a very strong possibility. That is a very strong possibility, but I will never ever be one of these fans that wants Celtic to lose in any kind of circumstance. If there's a Celtic fan out there genuinely saying, I hope we don't win the league, then to me they're not really a Celtic fan. You know what I mean? It's like, I get the whole looking at the bigger picture and, you know, the board and stuff have got to be held accountable. But regardless if Celtic win the league or don't win the league, everybody's going to remember this season and what they've done. You know what I mean? So, no, I know what you're saying, mate, but no, I will never ever want Celtic not to win a league title.
I think the main thing you take out of this is Hearts should be most disappointed if they don't win a league title. You know, no to the same
Yes.
regard as Martin O'Neill, by the way, but Danny Rowe's got to take some amount of plaudits half of Rangers fans, and I don't know how he gets sack claims, to be honest, half of Rangers fans. To me, the work he's done with Rangers, the position he's took Rangers for, to even being in with a chance of winning this league is beyond what I ever thought in December time, to be honest with you. I looked at Rangers in November, December, and I thought they were completely out of it. I thought, Rangers are going to be competing for third place, never mind the title here. So I think both can be said for Rangers and Celtic, and I know Graham's made the point a few times that, Hearts are just enjoying it while it lasts. Well, if I'm a Hearts fan, in my opinion, I'm absolutely fuming that we're no further ahead in this title race, to be honest.
Oh man, I totally agree with you, completely and utterly agree with you.
Yep.
I mean, this has been the two worst Celtic and Rangers sides in a long, long time. You know, they've had terrible, terrible managers this year. Two of the worst managers they've ever had in their history, and yet Hearts are only 3 points clear. I know that, you know, the Hearts fans would never have thought they'd have been in this position, but think about it, if they'd have won games like beating Kilmarnock away, if they'd have won games at home, they drew with Dundee United at home, you know, yesterday they drew with Livingston. These are games that they should have been winning, and they didn't win them. So you've got to look at Hearts as well and think, why is it you've not performed in these games, and why are we only 3 points clear?
And even the match against Celtic, I think it was a month ago, Jimmy, when Celtic go 2-1 up, and then Hearts, Celtic go down to 10 men for the last 20 minutes. That's going to be a game where they sort of make sure that by hook and by crook, 2 each with 10 men for 20 minutes, that they make sure they go and win that match.
I think they scored late that game, didn't they? So I think it was like 2-1 for a wee while, and then Braga scored in the last couple of minutes. But Aye, I mean, as you say, 2 to 10 men, and Celtic weren't really firing all cylinders at that point. That was Fian Chara's first game. He was terrible. So there was chances there for Hearts to win that game and stuff, but aye, they've got to be disappointed. That's mad to say considering they are 3 points clear and we're in April and stuff, but I agree with Robbie. I think they've got to be disappointed the fact that they're no further clear.
Aye, having Hearts look at dropping points to the bottom three teams in the league, losing to two of them. I keep bringing up that game, Reagan. The game at Celtic came to St Mirren. That is the game where Celtic went to Rugby Park and turned around a 2-0 deficit to win the game 3-2. That's how you become a champion in Scotland. That's how you win a trophy in Scotland. That's how you win the league.
Yep.
Hearts haven't shown that once this season that they can do that. It's been very scrappy 1-0s. It's been. And I'm sure there probably is examples where Hearts have, got through and they've looked impressive, and of course there's games they have, but you're even looking at the away loss at Easter Road 3-2, and I know it's a derby game, but if you're going to be winning leagues and you're going to be winning trophies, you can't be affording to go away to Fir Park and draw 0-0. And I know there's countless other examples where you're looking at Celtic and Rangers and you're looking at Celtic going to Motherwell and getting beat 2-0 and played half the park. But if Hearts truly want to do it, and as you mentioned, Jimmy, the position that Wilfred Nancy and Russell Martin found both your clubs in at the time, you're looking at that position. The fact that you're right, the fact Hearts are only 1 point clear of Rangers and 3 clear of Celtic is really, really, I don't know the right word. I don't want to say embarrassing. It's too strong, but it's bad. It's a pretty bad position to be in. To be honest, it's a terrifying position to be in because now you're facing the possibility of finishing third this season.
Aye, because at the end of the day, guys, I mean, I actually thought in the middle of January, February that Celtic had no chance. I know that they were going to bring in players in January, they were going to do things, but I just felt like it was too far away. And I think for Hearts I know Motherwell was a good season, but for Motherwell to play Hearts off the park, I think even when you look at the Hearts game when they went tiebreakers about a month ago, and they went 2-1 up. It's matches like that where you look at, right, see if they would have just stayed in the game for a bit longer and actually took a draw for that game or won that game, that could have totally changed the complexion of the actual season. Because if you look at Celtic have not played one great game this season, and they're still in the title race. And you look at Rangers, Robbie. I mean, you guys heard about it. Rangers have had 12 draws, and they're still there.
Aye, well, look, you look now. Hearts finished third in the league. We're going to look back at 10 years and nobody's going to remember this title push. I can assure you, name day will remember Hearts challenging for the league if they finish third this season. So you're really disappointed if you're a Hearts fan at this point.
I think I agree that you should be disappointed, a Hearts fan. I think it's their away form that's been kind of letting them down recently in the last few months. As you mentioned, Rangers, St Mirren, Kilmarnock, Livingston, but there is a part of me going like that. Maybe we're being a wee bit too critical of Hearts. I mean, to be at this point is great. I know what you're saying about them grinding out 1-0 results, but that's also the sign of champions, mate. The fact that 10 minutes to go and you're not quite performing at home, and then you get that kind of that victory like they did the other week against Dundee. You know what I mean? And it's like that is grinding out results for like 4 or 5 1-0s in a row at Tynecastle. And okay, they're only performing well. They're not performing at all, but the thing is with Hearts, see these games that I just mentioned there, all the away games, and you know yourself, Robbie, when you watch the St Mirren game away and then you watch Kilmarnock and stuff, wasn't even close. Hearts were just terrible these days. You know what I mean? Just like way off the pace. Not probably yesterday was the best performance I've seen away from home, and even at that, I don't think they were good. So
Aye.
that's been the problem, mate. You know what I mean? It's like their away form at Tynecastle, it's been fair enough. They've been winning games and that, but if that continues, their away form, they've still to go to Parkhead, didn't they, and stuff. So I mean, it's
Still to go to Motherwell.
been interesting.
Still to play
Still
there
to go to
for
Motherwell.
as well, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, I can personally see Hearts dropping more points at the weekend, but we'll save that for Friday's show when we sort of go early games. But let's get back on to talk about the last two before we wrap up. And we'll go to probably the shocker of the weekend, to be honest with you, for Park. It was Motherwell 2, Falkirk 3. A result I really didn't see coming. Of course, Falkirk lost to us just pre to the international break. I expected Motherwell to come back for this international break, fired up and ready to go for the last part of the season. And Falkirk surprised me, to be honest with you, Reagan. Barney Stewart getting on the score sheet again after only 3 minutes. And then Brogio scored in the 45th and Calvin Miller scored a penalty. And the 2 goals for Motherwell came to Elliot Watt and to Wanda Maswinishi. Scott Bain having an absolute howler for Elliot Watt's goal. But it was a really surprise victory, Reagan, for Falkirk, and a big 3 points that, by the way, congratulations to them, because it sealed their top 6 status. Falkirk first season back in their top 6 club after many predicting them to go down as well.
Aye, obviously, Robbie, I don't know if you watched the show on Friday, but we spoke to Alan, a Falkirk fan, and he said to us the score's going to be 3-2.
What a
But
prediction.
I think in general, I think this was always going to be a match where both teams were going to play good football, and it was all about who was going to take their chances. But fair play to Barney Stewart again. I mean, the only person that's not watching Barney Stewart is Steve Clark, probably, because he honestly, he's probably not going to pick him for the World Cup. He's probably going to take Che Adams, who has not scored a goal in a while for Scotland, and he's probably going to take probably George Hurst as well. But that's for a different day. But great play by Falkirk. But I know a lot of the talk's going to be about Motherwell, and that obviously playing it for the back and the goal they conceded straight away.
Aye, Jamie, I remember you saying earlier that you're hoping Jens becomes the next Celtic manager. I think every Celtic manager does, and every Celtic fan does. And to be honest with you, I think it would be interesting to see how he gets on. He's had a very, very good season, Jens, at Motherwell. Phenomenal compared to the team you were sort of watching last season under Motherwell. As we mentioned, he's transformed some players. It was a bit of a slow one to take, but you'd imagine Motherwell will still be all right for the rest of this season.
Aye, definitely. I mean, I really need to watch what I'm saying about Falkirk these days. I usually wouldn't really care, but I've just got a new manager in work, and he's a big Falkirk man, and he's follows them home and away and all this. So I'm going to be doing nothing but praise Falkirk from now on. It's probably better for my interest if I just if I don't ever slag Falkirk between now and the end of the season or next season that as well. So but Falkirk have done a great season. John McGlynn's proved he's a really good manager. Barney Stewart's on fire, and we spoke about that a few weeks ago, Robbie, about how Barney Stewart should be in the Scotland squad and stuff like that as well. And Steve Clark needs to be looking at these guys and stuff. And when it comes to Motherwell, there was a few people shouting for, well, Motherwell, are they still and they're in a title race? That maybe 5-6 years ago, it was never going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like they don't have the squad. The boys like Elijah Just and Elliot Watt and all that have played pretty much all season. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't really blame these guys for having off games or whatever, or no performing for 90 minutes at this stage in the season and that, because the guys who are coming off the bench just aren't up to scratch of these boys. You know what I mean? And I'm not surprised that Motherwell are kind of losing matches at this point and stuff. They've had an amazing season. To be even, talked about, was it 4 or 5 weeks ago, I've been in a title race, has been unbelievable. I think Askew showed that he can turn players that we hadn't even heard of before, who were playing okay over Europe and that, and turn them into real good Scottish Premiership football players is a good sign for me. They work as a team, they all know their positions. It's just when you watch Motherwell, as a kind of delight to watch as well. But I think Askew has done enough for me, mate, to merit getting the Celtic gig next season. Gain him a bit of time, give him a pre-season, saying, right, here, get some of your own players in. Who do you pick? Whether that is getting Elijah Just in and all this. And he's still going to love Elijah Just if he comes to Celtic next season, by the way.
Yeah, I'll always rate a player.
Well, I can see that with your tap on the day. You're supporting the Celtic anyway today. So, but I think I could see him ask you if he does come in going for Elijah Just and Elliot Watt. These kind of boys match when he say. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them came to Celtic next season. Which I would welcome, to be honest with you, because they've all shown this season that they're good players. But he's turning Stephen O'Donnell into another kind of Cafu right back and that as well. And I'm all for Askew getting a shot next season. The difference between there's people going like that. Well, Wilfred Nonce was kind of at that level, and he only won trophies. Wilfred Nonce didn't know the first thing about Scottish football. Askew has shown this season that he can manage in this league, and he knows the league well and stuff like that. So I would much prefer him to like a Robbie Keane, to be honest with you. I know that Robbie Keane's doing a decent job at Ferencvaros and stuff, but nah, I don't see a kind of great difference between going for Askew and Robbie Keane. So you may as well just go for the guy that's along your road. You know what I mean?
If a manager can convince Paul McGinn he can catch Toyosu Olasanya, should be managing Real Madrid, never mind Scotland. Like that's some mentality he's put into the players. But seriously, like, you're right. See if I was Rangers or Celtic, I would be flinging everything at getting just Maswinishi and well, no for Rangers, Jens, because obviously Danny Rowe's still relatively new to the job. If you're Celtic especially, you'd be flinging everything at Jens, but you're looking at just Maswinishi, probably Ibrahim Said's a good player, and Elliot Watt as well. If you're Rangers or Celtic,
You want the full team, Robbie?
you might as well take the full team at this point. But no, they players, if you're Rangers or Celtic, you're looking to try and snap them up as quickly as possible. And that's why I want to ask you, Reagan, how much trouble are Motherwell in? And I know they might get good money for these players, right? But you're never going to replace that type of quality with the quality they've got now, especially in the managerial department.
Totally. I mean, I just hope for Motherwell's sake that they don't go and appoint, say, a Tony Docherty. No disrespect to Tony Docherty, but I think Motherwell fans will hope that he just stays in the BBC studio from now on. But
Imagine
I'm
going
just,
for Jens Berthel Askew to Tony Docherty in your dugout. I'd feel rotten for the Motherwell fans. Honestly.
but honestly, I think it's so important that they actually stick to the plan and go for somebody that's plays the same style of football. I'm not going to say they're going to attract like a top level manager for the English Premier League, but they can attract somebody with the same style of football and somebody who's got a philosophy. And please don't go for Wilfred Nancy because
Well, do you know what? Do you know what? See, when you're saying that, there, I was thinking. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But see if you give Wilfred Nancy a pre-season and give him his own players done it. I don't think Wilfred Nancy's an awful manager. I just think he
Jamie,
done the wrong. I think he done the wrong thing. He came into the wrong time and tried to do the wrong things.
I couldn't agree more with what he's just said there. By the way, see if you gave Wilfred Nancy a pre-season, it
oh
wouldn't be that
no,
bad. It would never turn out
Nah,
that bad. No in a
nah.
million years. It would
Columbus
turn
Crew
out
were flying, man. They were absolutely flying. You know what I mean? And the football they were playing was outstanding. Wilfred Nancy just thought he could come in and implement that. He thought he could just come in and implement that to these players that halfway through a season. It just was never going to happen. You know what I mean? And he was too stubborn.
He was trying to teach Jim Forrest how to trap a ball, mate.
I know, mate. I know. But I give him a pre-season, mate. I guarantee you he would do well at a Scottish club. I think he would.
He done the classic. He done an FM save and just try to download a tactic and implement it straight into a team, and it just didn't work.
Nah,
But it's managers always stick by their philosophies. But I agree with your point, Jamie. But aye, Jamie. I mean, what are you thinking about Motherwell with Jens? Because I'm looking at Jens, Just, Maswinishi. The chances of Motherwell even being able to hold on to them next season is very, very slim to none. So I mean, what type of position do you think they could find themselves in?
Mate, it's such a fantastic point that I hadn't even thought about, honestly. You know what I mean? It's like if Jens goes, you're a victim of their own success, basically. You know, if Mashwanisi, Just, Watt and all that all go, Slattery, all these guys, where do they go for there? They might get a few quid in for them, that's definitely sure. But you've got to go to the guy who appointed Askew and say, right, who done that? Let's go to him. Right, who's next? You know what I mean? And the chances of you getting another Askew again are pretty slim. But I mean, the guy who identified him should be spoken to and asked, right, where did you get him for? And let's do it again. You know what I mean? But yeah, you want success when you're a Motherwell and stuff like that. But as you say, mate, you know, these players are going to be fought after in this summer.
Well, the thing is, the thing is for me, right, and I get for a club point of view, it's going to be a good season because you're going to get a lot of money for these players, right? But see, from a fans' point of view, you've no got success this season. I mean, you have looked at if Motherwell end up finishing fourth this season with these players, and that's still a brilliant season. You're into European football, but you've no really got the best that you probably could get under these guys, and that's the thing that's probably going to be frustrating Motherwell fans. They obviously had the semi-final very early on
I
in
totally
Jens'
agree, Robbie.
tenure, but they're going to have nothing to show for this again in 10 years. They're going to look back at this season under Jens and it's going to feel like a fever dream to them because they're not going to have anything to show for Jens' time at Motherwell.
Aye, and I think the big thing as well, Robbie, I know you probably don't want to talk about him, but Stephen Robinson's a better Motherwell manager than Berto Askew. Stephen Robinson got Motherwell to a
Third.
Scottish final and he got them third in the table.
And a Scottish League Cup final as well. Obviously, I did lose both, but he managed to get them a third place finish. But on the other side, a manager that will be remembered long in history for Falkirk, I'd probably go down as one of the greatest ever managers, Jamie. John McGlynn, top 6 finish, first season back in the Premiership, 3 consecutive promotions, the list goes on and on. What a season Falkirk have had, and what an achievement for John McGlynn as well.
Falkirk are amazing, mate. I think Falkirk going to win the Champions League next season. They're just the best club ever. Love them to bits, mate. Every single player and every single fan is just amazing. But I agree with you, mate. John McGlynn has done a fantastic job for Falkirk over the seasons, and fair play to them. They've come up for the first time in a long, long time, and they've played really well. The thing is, it's not as if they've sat behind the ball for 90 minutes every game. They've tried to express themselves. They've played good football. And doing all that while Scott Bain is your goalkeeper is just really, really quite impressive. Considering you say another howler at the weekend there, and they're still winning matches and stuff. And that's one thing I do say to my manager in work is, listen, I'll praise you all day long, but I'm not tolerating any Scott Bain part, because he is just awful. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, Scotland's number one. Scotland's number one. If we go into this World Cup with Scott Bain as a goalkeeper, man, I ain't staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning watching it. I'm telling you that right now. I am not staying up to watch a 5-0 defeat to Haiti with Scott Bain in goals. It's just not happening.
Aye, it is a scary prospect that Scott Bain is actually going to go on the flight. But that's not even a disrespect to Scott Bain, right? That's just more the quality of goalkeepers Scotland have as a whole, that we are going to be taking a guy, the only goalkeeper that's Scottish, by the way, that's playing in a sort of bigger league. By the way, he's the only one that's going to be taken to the World Cup that's actually actively playing, and yet he's still the third choice goalkeeper. That's pretty scary stuff.
I think it is. See the thing that you talked about there, obviously John doing a brilliant job in terms of Jamie there. See in terms of that, right? See the manager, see in terms of the best manager in Scotland this year. So I don't know when they're going to talk about it, but surely it's got to be like done pretty early, because what are they going to do? Like, because if Darren Rowe wins the league, Rangers fans are going to moan about that. If Martin O'Neill wins it, they're going to moan about him. If Derek McInnes wins it, they'll be moaning for him. If John McGlynn wins the cup, they'll be thinking, how's he not the manager of the year? So it's going to be one of the years.
I think it's going to be the exact same thing with players as well. If Rangers or Celtic go and win the league and it goes to Braga or something, people are going to go, how was he won? You know what I mean? It's going to go to, if Celtic win the league, it's going to go, you've got to get Benjamin Negryn, in my opinion. If Rangers win the league, you've got to get Fernandez, or centre half or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But that's a good thing as well, man. It's like, I don't even know who you would say is player of the season at this point. I don't know whether it is just, I don't know whether I'm thinking Negryn because of his goals, but I mean, Braga, send me a shout, Mash Winisi, Elliot Just. I keep saying Elliot Just, Elijah Just, sorry. And, but I know who you're going to say, Robbie, but I mean, I think if it stands right now, I say Negryn.
As it stands right now, I'm saying Braga.
You don't even ask me. I'm saying Elijah Just, but I'd just look at the whole player. And by the way, I think I'd put Negryn right up next to him. By the way, I'd agree with you, Jamie. I think Negryn's been a fantastic player this season for Celtic, and a Celtic team that, for large parts, has sparked real qualities. Look a proper handy player. And I said that since game week 1, by the way. Celtic v St Mirren, the opening day of the season. I looked at his first half performance and said he'll be a good player for Celtic, because you could just see it out him straight away. And they get a lot of criticism after Celtic fans at points in the season, but I think he has proven that he could be player of the year. And I think the manager of the year's debate's so weird. You're looking at a manager, the only manager in Scotland that's won a cup, and Stephen Robinson. He's not going to get a shout in because the job he's done domestically in the league, of course. But don't forget he has won the cup and led. When he was here, he led St to the semi-final. So he's done a no bad job in that regard. But I get why he won't get it. But you're right. You can't call it until the season's done. It could be Derek McInnes, it could be Danny Rowe, it could be Martin O'Neill with a double, it could be Jens. Who knows who it's going to be? It's such a weird one this season.
As it stands right now, who would you go for? I would probably say McInnes.
I think you've got to go McInnes now, but then John McGlynn, aye. I don't know, it's such a weird one.
I don't know Jimmy's boss, but I'm just being nice to talk.
No, in fact, you're right, John McGlynn. I'm saying him or not, actually.
Oh, brilliant, Jimmy.
But no, it has been such a weird season. Just on Falkirk then, what more do you think, guys, Falkirk can achieve? You know, they're 5 points behind Hibs, they're 8 points behind Motherwell. Is there any more room for maybe another shocker this season? Could Falkirk maybe push into Europe?
I don't see why not, man.
I think they could definitely push into Europe because I think they could beat. I think they could beat Rangers this weekend. I don't know. I don't know who the Highbees play, but I think they could. I think they could definitely beat Rangers this weekend. And then obviously
Hib-
then it's
Hibs
only
play
2
Aberdeen.
points.
Aye, Hibs play Aberdeen.
Is Aberdeen at home?
No, I think Hibs are at home.
Aberdeen are at home, just looking at it.
Oh, they? Aberdeen.
Oh,
I thought so.
yeah. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to say Aberdeen beat Hibs, and then Falkirk beat Rangers. So then it could only be a few points.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
think that's a good shout.
A very, very good shout. But before we move into the last game, I've just seen a clip from Clydebank on popped up on my
Oh,
Twitter.
what a goal! You seen it?
Aye, have you seen this, Jamie?
I have not, mate, no.
This is
One
a
of
goal
the
the
best
bank.
goals you'll see all year.
Aye, this is a goal the bank he scored at the weekend. So I'll play this and hopefully it works. What a lovely goal, by the Bankies.
Well done.
That's like Craig McLeish's tiki-taka sense right there, man, right in full swing. But no, a very, very nice goal by Clydebank in a 4-0 win over Broxburn Athletic. I like pulling it wee clips of that, guys. It's you see some bangers sometimes in the non-leagues in Scotland.
Aye, that's an absolute peach for a lovely wee team goal, that one.
Aye, I'm sure we'll see Clydebank rolling it in the Premiership like that in a few years, showing off that type of style. But no, we'll move on to the last game, and it was at Easter Road. It was Hibs 3, Kilmarnock 0. Hibs could not have started off any better. 1 of 13 seconds into the game, I think it was, Owen Eldon goes at the park, manages to score, and then for there it was just Hibs, really, to be honest. I think Kilmarnock had a few decent spells in the game. They obviously had more than double the shots. Hibs actually took in this game, they hit 11 shots to Hibs 5, but it was Hibs that managed to find a way, Reagan, to a 3-0 win, a pretty comfortable afternoon for Hibs as well.
It was pretty straightforward for them, to be honest with you, Robbie. 13 seconds in, I think if you're a fan of the rugby park team, you probably pack your bags after 13 seconds because you probably thought you're going to do really well after the obviously beating the league, the team at the top of the table. And then to go there and play so bad, it just shows you that obviously it's difficult because of the budgets now. But I mean, to get a response the week before to win, obviously against the team at the top of the table, and then to go there after 13 seconds. But I think I'm right in saying that I think the away form for them has been terrible this year. So that I don't really think they do really too well. See when they don't play at the home stadium. So I think in general, I don't think they're doing too well. But I think obviously they'll do enough to stay up.
Aye, Jamie, it's a result for St Mirren and Aberdeen's perspective anyway that probably suited both clubs more. You know, Kilmarnock, you're going away to Easter Road. It's never going to be easy. It was a comfortable afternoon for us, but a Kilmarnock point of view, they'll be hoping they can try and bounce back against Dundee next week because the pressure is really on now. You know, if you start getting sucked away for St Mirren and Aberdeen, suddenly it's looking against you that you're going to get it, and you're going to get out of this relegation playoff spot. And I think Neil McCann's got what it takes. I think he's instilled some good confidence into this team. Of course, he's taken a few bad results. The Falkirk one springs to mind, but he'll be hoping for the run and he can try and swing some points back in his favour.
Definitely, mate. And as I mentioned earlier about Celtic with no getting that early goal when they made a comfortable afternoon, that's exactly what Hibs done. Hibs got that early goal, they made that kind of comfortable afternoon, they just kicked on for there, ended up winning the game relatively comfortably. But I mean, Kilmarnock point of view, very, very inconsistent, aren't they? You know, they can go out and play really, really well one week, you know, score a few goals, and they beat Hearts, like I say, the other week there, and then they go and lose to Hibs away from home and don't lay a glove on them whatsoever. I think Neil McCann is a decent manager. I think if you're a Kilmarnock fan, you're probably pretty confident with him at the helm, and they've got some good players there. You know, Finlay Curtis coming in is a decent young player, and you'll get Boy Hugo up front, and you know, a couple of good players in amongst them, but they need to start winning matches. It's all about winning matches at this point in the season. It doesn't even matter if you play really poor. You know, you just need to start picking up points. And then if you're looking at that bottom of the table, you know, St Mirren are now in form and they're looking up the way. Aberdeen are not in form. They're looking down the way and stuff. But you've got to remember Dundee are there as well. By the way, they're only 5 points off. And I mean, I wasn't really impressed with Dundee yesterday, to be honest with you. I thought that they were second to every ball with Celtic and stuff. They did have that spell where they scored the goal, and Simon Murray's a good goal scorer up there for them and stuff, and I like the boy Congrove and stuff. But I don't know, I think that Dundee might get sucked into it as well, to be honest. I think that they're gonna have to start picking up points. It's all about picking up points, man. You know what I mean? But the thing is, St Mirren are going to Parkhead next week. That's going to be a tough game for them. I know that McLeish started really well and that, but you would expect Celtic to get the 3 points. That gives kind of clubs like Kilmarnock and stuff, Aberdeen, who are at home to Hibs, you know, a wee bit of an opportunity there. So they've got to take it. They've got to take it on. You know what I mean? These guys have got to take advantage before the split. You know what I mean? That these teams going away. So I will see what happens. But Kilmarnock, I think Kilmarnock will stay up. I think. I don't actually know. I mean, I think Dundee could get sucked in it. I actually do.
You're looking now at a split where I do believe it's going to be St Mirren hosting Kilmarnock and Livingston playing away at Aberdeen, and Aberdeen are going to be hosting St Mirren and Kilmarnock. So you're looking at a split where it probably does favour St Mirren and Aberdeen more than it does Kilmarnock. But as you said, Jamie, Dundee, that first half, I thought were absolutely shocking to watch. I didn't see one single spark of hope out of Dundee that whole first half. I thought did a couple of times where they broke down the left-hand side under, as Reagan mentioned earlier, Ugani, who I thought looked alright, but apart from that, Reagan, they done near enough nothing. So it is going to be such an interesting bottom sort of 3-4 race.
I think the best thing in the first half, Robbie, was that wee sort of flick that the Dundee player done. I thought that was brilliant for the Dundee player, but I think in general, I don't think Dundee really offered too much. But I think second half, Stephen Presley will be satisfied with what he got. But like I said earlier, I didn't understand why straight after he got the Dundee penalty, he takes off Simon Murray and brings on somebody else. Simon Murray just scored you a goal. You're taking him off.
Aye, that was a weird one. But boys, we've went on long enough. Before we wrap up, I just showed you one of the best goals you'll see this weekend. I'm now going to show you one of the worst own goals you'll see this weekend, because former St Mirren player Thierry Small, who used to play at left back on loan for the club, but is now currently playing at Preston North End. This is the own goal he scored about maybe 2 years ago, I think, for Preston.
QPR on the attack. Harvey Vale puts the ball across. Thierry Small hasn't been on the pitch long, tries to get rid of it. I think it hits his shin. I can't explain it, Jules. Hopefully one of you in the studio can. I don't know what happens, but it ends up in the back of his own net. Friends, family and Thierry Small will not want to watch that one again.
So that was a former St Mirren player Thierry Small, and a pretty poor own goal.
I heard after the game that he done an interview and he said that he's grew up and his hero was Liam Scales. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever, to be honest.
He's take that one straight out the St Mirren training pitch. But no, you do feel bad when one's that, man, because there's not much you can actually do about it. But that is us at the end of the show. As we said earlier, huge congratulations needs to go to Doug Emery and Rafe Rovers. First managerial trophy his career. Oh, Jamie, I know you put it on the Off the Underside Instagram as well. A huge achievement for Dougie, but it's been such a horrendous year for him as well.
Aye, brilliant to see that. You know what I mean? Brilliant to see that he's got a bit of success at Rafe Rovers. I know that when he left Morton, he got a bit of stick for doing so, but it just proves that he's made the right decision, gone to a team that can win trophies and stuff, and that's no disrespect to Morton, but Rafe Rovers have got that under their belt now, and maybe they can kick on. As you say, he's had a very, very tough year. It's been heartbreaking to see what's been happening with Dougie and stuff, but you know, hopefully now the future's bright for him and his family, and you know, he can kick on. But I know that he's a big Rangers man. Maybe one day he'll become Rangers manager. You never know.
Aye, you just never know, and I'll take that full disrespect on Greenock Martin because they never win trophies enough before ever in our shadow. But no, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. What are you up to these days? Actually, that's a bit of a fun question. What's the podcast up to? I know, as you can talk about, you've just launched a new Celtic show as well with you and Corey.
Yes, mate. As I said to you before, like we made the decision at the start when Off the Underside was just kicking off. Right, how are we going to do this? Are we going to make it a Celtic podcast? Or are we going to just make it a general football podcast because we love all football and we've been doing that road, and it's became a wee bit too much of a pull to try and do a Celtic podcast as well, mate, because got a lot to talk about and stuff. Has been a crazy season as we spoke about, mate. So we decided to take the plunge and do a wee side project called the Celtic Corner, where it's just myself and Corey get on talking about what's been happening in the week with Celtic and stuff, and obviously analysing the matches and then doing reviews of the matches and stuff. So we will get we'll get podcasters, and we're trying to get other kind of Celtic minded people on the podcast as well and have a wee chat with them and to just talk about Celtic, mate. Well, I know that you've got your St Mirren podcast now as well, mate. So that's been inspiring to try and just want to focus on your own club for a couple of episodes. You know what I mean? But no, we'll never be quitting Off the Underside, mate. That is our baby. That is the main focus. That is the one that I love with all my heart, man. So, aye, that's what I've been up to, mate. Just podcasting and working, man. Usual, innit?
Aye, it is definitely the usual. Just to do a few more plugs before we wrap up, and make sure you go and check out Off the Underside and the Celtic Corner as well. Two very good channels, two very good guys running both shows. So make sure you go and check that out. Me and Reagan have got a new darts podcast alongside our good friend Owen called the Bullseye Banter Podcast. We talk
Nice.
all things darts. That has been a lot of fun the first few weeks. Owen will never forget that 14 darter Reagan Owen hit into me in a game. That was
he told me he hit a 14 data. I still don't believe him.
Well,
What do
I
you
think-
do on that then? Just talk about the current darts
Aye.
and stuff for the Premier League and all that. And
Aye, so
Aye.
it's the Premier League right now. We're going to be home to try and get some interviews done at some point. I know Reagan's been working his backside off to try and get a few set up for the show, so I think there is a few happening soon.
I've
But
got a few lined up,
aye, so we've been trying to get all that sorted. But aye, we mainly just talk about darts, working my magic quickly for load. There you go. There's the Celtic Corner picture. So make sure you go and give that a follow as well. I'm going to give myself a bit of a personal plug as well because I don't do it enough. The Buddies Breakdown YouTube channel, as Jamie mentioned, I've got
Aye.
my St Munfin podcast. I will give a huge shout out to the guy Ivan that made this for me. It's a very, very cool logo. I love it. Took him quite a while to make it, but it's turned out exactly the way I wanted it. I'm going to be trying to bring daily St Mirren uploads as well. And make sure you subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone as well. We'll be bringing more interviews. We'll try to do some cool things ahead of the World Cup, as Reagan will tell you. We've got some great ideas lined up. I hope
Aye.
to try and get into a few stadiums, make some content. That should be fun.
that's the
Jamie-
thing, man, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt you, mate, but that's just the thing this year. With the way Scottish football's went and stuff like that, and then we've got a World Cup coming up, man. It's exciting times with loads of content out there, isn't there?
A big
Perfect.
time, Jamie.
Aye, perfect time to start making content, especially around football. Around Scottish football. It's one of the best times to be a Scottish football content creator as well. But Jamie, I'm sure we'll have you back on the channel at some point again. Hopefully we'll get a wee in-person show done at some point as well. That would be nice. I'll meet all the boys in person. Who knows?
That'd be class.
The summer's going to hold some amount of events, but we'll be back on Friday for the prediction show, the final game before the split. I can't believe it's here already. Match day 33 coming up. That is just wild. We'll see how it goes. But join myself, Reagan. I'm sure Michael will be back. I think he's away doing a scouting mission or something for Celtic, or he's away scouting Japan like Angie's taking tips. I think he's away doing something along the lines. So we'll see him when he gets back for his flight. But aye, until next time, goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next one.